Hey there, and welcome to Weeb Novel Audiobook, your hub for epic fanfics, original stories, and thrilling adventures brought to life. Make sure to subscribe for regular updates and swing by my Patreon for early access and exclusive mature content. Now, sit back and enjoy the journey.
Chapter 104, Shadow Element. Alex thought about the dark beast that resembled the fatty and then recalled when the fatty had told his father to hand Emily over. A conclusion formed in his mind. It couldn't be that the Dark Union wanted his sister, right? Alex could not think of any other possible reason why they would come to his home. The question in his mind now was why they wanted to kidnap Emily. No matter what reasons they might have, Alex wasn't going to let them take his sister. He silently decided to speed up his plan and craft the spells as soon as possible. Resolving the case of the missing people would ensure Emily's safety as well, since he has confirmed that the Dark Union was behind it. Alex soon left the Union building. He had left the corpses of the dark beasts behind. Before he left, Sylvia and the others had assured him that they would station some officers around the outskirts and keep watch to avoid another kidnapping in the outskirts. While Alex was pleased with this, he wasn't satisfied and didn't plan to leave the safety of his sister in their hands. After all, these dark beasts were as strong as common rank magic beasts, while the officers were just humans with magic weapons. Alex had other plans in mind as he left the Union building. Getting outside, Alex moved through the well-lit street of the commercial district. He didn't immediately use Void Walk skill to return to the outskirts because he felt someone following him. After walking for a while, Alex noticed that the presence that was following him would oddly disappear briefly when he entered a clear space and return after he left the area. It was as if whoever was following him was avoiding something. A grin formed on Alex's face behind his mask. He suspected that whoever was following him must be the person who was controlling the dark beasts. Freeodenville.cm, a member of the Dark Union. Alex kept walking as if he had not noticed anything. He made a turn and entered a dark alley that was located between two tall buildings that prevented light from entering. He was still being followed. He suddenly stopped just after walking a few meters into the alley and making sure that the other party had followed him too. He then asked without turning around, "Are you going to keep following me, or do you plan to come out?" His voice rang in the alley. Silence followed for a few seconds before a figure materialized out of the ground. It was as if he had formed from the shadow of the building. This caused Alex to raise an eyebrow in surprise. Although he didn't see what had happened behind him, he had clearly felt the presence of a very rare element, one that was as rare as his space element. The shadow element. That's surprising. I've never heard of a shadow mage before. Alex thought to himself as he slowly turned out and looked at the other party. As expected of Mr. Chen to sense me even when I'm using Shadow Blend, we were not wrong about you. The other party spoke in a mature male voice. Alex gazed at the figure in front of him. The other party looked like a being made out of shadows, and his body was constantly squirming as if it was caged smoke that might scatter any moment from now. So this is the shadow element, indeed worthy of its reputation. Alex thought in administration. Were you the one controlling the dark beasts? Alex asked. No, it was a colleague. Although I am curious as to why Mr. Chen decided to interfere, do you have any relation with that family? The other party asked without moving from its position. To be more specific, it didn't look like it could move around freely in that state. No, Alex replied shortly. Since he was going against the Dark Union as Mr. Chen, it would be stupid to form a relationship with his real identity and Mr. Chen. These people would definitely start to target him and his family to draw Mr. Chen out. The other party stayed silent for a while after hearing Alex's response. The silence lingered for a few seconds before it was broken. That is good then. We have discovered that Mr. Chen is investigating the missing children. This is indeed the doing of the Dark Union, but it is for a great cause. We would usually eliminate anyone who tries to stop us, but we have decided to make an exception for Mr. Chen. we consider that you have a lot of potential and can become of great use to our course. Join us, Mr. Chen. You will receive power and status beyond your imagination. The other party spoke in a fanatic tone. Alex. So you want me to join the Dark Union and become an enemy with the entire world? I think I'll pass on the offer. Alex said in his mind. He didn't have any thoughts of joining a criminal organization in a magic world to begin with. Seeing Mr. Chen remain silent, the other party tried to persuade him some more. You should already know that the Dark Union is widely known through the 7 continents and we go about freely. Although Mr. Chen is powerful, you are currently unknown. Join us, and you shall have whatever you want, money, women, resources, power, anything will be within your reach as long as you make contributions to the Dark Union. Alex stared at the other party. An expert mage, how should I capture him? Alex was in thought. He didn't think he could catch the other party with telekinesis. The other party would definitely react once he saw Alex's stars. While Alex was thinking of how to capture this person, the other party thought that Alex was considering his offer and patiently waited. After some time, Alex finally spoke up. But he didn't say the words that the other party was expecting to hear. How about you come with me instead and answer some questions? Alex's voice rang out as he suddenly stepped forward. Skill, Void Walk, activated. The other party's eyes widened in shock as he saw Mr. Chen suddenly vanish and appeared beside him. He didn't sense any mana fluctuation. Alex's movements were fast as his right hand went for the other party's neck and grabbed it. These people dared to come for his sister, he had to at least capture one and interrogate him. But to Alex's surprise, after grabbing the other party's neck, he realized that he wasn't able to get a firm grip as his fingers sank halfway through. It felt like he was trying to hold something with a gel-like texture. The other party also recovered from his shock at this moment and glanced at the white mask on Alex's face. There are things that Mr. Chen doesn't know about the shadow element. After saying this, the other party suddenly faded out of Alex's grip. It was as if he blended into the darkness around them. I will take this as a rejection from Mr. Chen. The Dark Union won't be kind anymore. The other party's voice rang out in the alley after blending into the shadows before his presence disappeared completely. Alex spread out his senses. He was certain that the other party had left and wasn't hiding around. Tisk, damn shadow element. Alex clicked his tongue in annoyance before activating the Void Walk again and opening a second gate in the outskirts. Chapter 105, Eliminate Mr. Chen. Inside a room, the sounds of women giggling could be heard. The room was a bedroom with a large king-size bed that could easily fit 5 people. On the bed, a man could be seen with 4 pretty women surrounding him. All of them were fully naked, and they were doing naughty things. The women had smooth and soft skin, their figures were alluring and a sweet scent rose from their bodies as they rubbed their breasts against the man's limbs, trying to please him. To this, the man was shy and happily touched them all over. His fingers sometimes went in between their legs, and doing the unknown, everyone seemed to be having fun. At this moment, something squeezed through the gaps under the door and entered the room before forming a dark spot from which a yellow-robed figure emerged. The figure was in a kneeling posture with his head lowered and the hood of his robe covering his head. Your Grace, I've made contact with Mr. Chen. The kneeling person voiced out, ignoring what was happening on the bed in front of him. Shadow? Back so soon? What was the result? Was he satisfied? The man replied and continued to play with the women on the bed. He actually grabbed one of them at this moment and threw her over his legs before he began spanking her fat butt cheeks that were like smooth dough. In response to this, the woman giggled shyly while kicking her legs playfully. Her now red butt cheeks didn't seem to affect her. All of them ignored the presence of the robed person and kept playing. I'm afraid not. Mr. Chen is determined to oppose our course and even tried to capture me. His means are unpredictable, Shadow replied. He then proceeded to narrate how his conversation with Mr. Chen had gone. After listening, the man on the bed still didn't react much and continued the conversation with Shadow while playing with the women on the bed. Is that so? Then we'll eliminate him, we can't have a potential threat roaming around freely. Understood, Your Grace. What about Blue Venom's mission? She was unsuccessful, all 5 dark beasts were lost, Shadow replied. Only upon hearing this did the man on the bed finally react. His hands froze on the breasts of one of the women as he glanced at Shadow, a look of surprise on his face. She failed and the dark beasts are dead? Interesting. I heard that the family of that girl had a son who's at the adept mage rank. I thought all of the family would have died, I didn't expect him to be this capable. He voiced out in amazement. That wasn't what happened, Your Grace. Mr. Chen happened to be in the outskirts when the dark beasts approached to get the girl, he was the one who killed them and took them to the Union building. Shadow explained. A look of realization flashed across the man's eyes, he pushed the woman away and came down from the bed, ignoring the fact that he was naked. Mr. Chen, huh? He really doesn't want an easy way out, that's fine by me. As for Blue Venom, have her see me later. Yes, Your Grace, Shadow replied. Free of novel calm now leave. Shadow didn't say anything else and silently sank into the shadow on the ground and went out of the room through the same method in which he came. After Shadow left, a look of viciousness appeared on the man's face as flames burned in his eyes. Mr. Chen, I'll make sure to watch you die, he said through gritted teeth. Master, don't be angry. Come, we'll make you feel comfortable. A gentle voice sounded from behind the man as a tall woman with a slim waist and long legs walked up to him and hugged him from behind, pressing her soft body against his. The name closed his eyes and let out a deep breath before turning around to face the woman, his hand moved to her face as he traced her chin with his fingers. Yes, you'll make me feel better. He smiled wickedly as his fingers moved down her neck, he suddenly wrapped his fingers around her small neck and squeezed. Snap! Thud! He snapped her neck, killing her instantly and letting her body drop to the ground. The remaining 3 women watched this without any reaction, no one screamed or revealed a hint of shock, it was as if they were used to it. After killing one, the man turned to look at the remaining 3 naked beauties. A lustful light flashed in his eyes as he approached the bed. Come, and make me feel better. Phew, of course. Giggling sounds resumed. Time went by swiftly, it was soon morning, and the sun was slowly rising in the distance, painting a part of the sky in its radiance. Alex ate breakfast with his family before leaving the house. His parents hadn't noticed what happened the previous night and Alex didn't plan on telling them. Leaving his house, Alex had barely walked 20 meters away from his home when he noticed some Union officers walking around with magic weapons in hand. They were on patrol. Alex nodded, satisfied by the speed of the Union's reaction. They had only discussed what happened last night and they had already sent out officers this morning. But Alex felt that this wasn't enough. He kept walking until he left the outskirts. Minutes passed, and Alex arrived at Emily's school. He stared at the school building from a distance as a glint flashed across his eyes. Haven't seen him in a while. Alex thought with a mischievous smile on his face. He quickly found a discreet corner where no one would see him before activating the Void Walk skill. His view changed again and Alex immediately created the second gateway in the principal's office. After his view returned to normal, he stepped through the gateway in front of him and entered the white space. He took out the indestructible robe and all-knowing mask after entering the white space. He walked for a bit and soon got to the other gateway, he was now in the principal's office. Alex didn't come out immediately and remained in the white space with the gateway right in front of him. Others were unable to see him as long as he hadn't stepped out yet, but he could see everything through the gateway. From here, Alex could see 2 figures in the office. One was the principal of Emily's school, while the other was a middle-aged man who seemed to be in his 40s. This person was also at the expert mage rank, just like the principal. The two men were discussing something, so Alex silently listened. Letting students get bullied is one thing, but not letting my daughter defend herself is something I can't turn a blind eye to. Is this how you run your school? The man in front of the principal said angrily. The principal sighed with a tired expression. He stared at the man and calmly said, "I make rules to protect the students in my school. I promise you that it's fine as long as your daughter is not the one bullying others." "Are you saying my precious daughter is a troublemaker?" The other party raised his voice. "No, all I'm saying is that she's going to offend someone who shouldn't be offended just because of her childishness." "Impudent. Someone that shouldn't be offended? I am the one who shouldn't be offended." Chapter 106, A Gift of 10 Million. Alex silently watched as the two exchanged words, but it was mostly the middle-aged man who was arguing with the principal while the principal tried to reason with the other party. Alex didn't know who this person was, but the resemblance with a certain someone allowed him to guess his identity. That red hair was particularly eye-catching. This person must be Laura's father. No wonder he was so arrogant. He's the head of one of the biggest families in Balon City, after all. Alex thought to himself. The reason why he had come was because his daughter had complained to him that she was facing oppression in school, and the teachers didn't try to help. Instead, they prevented her from defending herself and even scolded her. The man had found this unacceptable and had come for an explanation, but what he was hearing was a totally different thing, which enraged him even more. He even asked the principal to tell him the name of the person behind his daughter's hard time in school, but the principal wouldn't say anything and kept asking him to lecture his daughter instead. In the end, Laura's father left out of anger, but only after promising to cut off all forms of support he was giving to the school, including donations. The principal sighed tiredly as he rested on his seat after Laura's father left the office, slamming the door so hard that it almost collapsed. He stared at the ceiling of the office, his mind drifting into thoughts. Alex remained inside the white space and observed the old man. He wanted to see if the other party would curse at him for what had happened. But even after many seconds passed, the principal didn't say anything and just kept staring at the ceiling in silence. Alex couldn't help but be impressed by the old man's loyalty. Not only did he protect Emily at school just like Alex had instructed, but he also didn't disclose Emily's identity to the other party since it was obvious that the other party might be petty enough to go look for trouble with Emily outside school grounds. He had followed Alex's instructions even though he caused his school to lose a valuable supporter. While it might be due to fear of what Alex might do to him if something happened to Emily, Alex still felt he should at least offer some compensation to the old man. "Rested enough yet?" Alex said as he stepped out of the white space and appeared in the office. His voice startled the old man, who was staring at the ceiling, and caused him to jump up to his feet. He turned his head and stared at Alex with shock on his face. From the principal's perspective, it was as if Alex had been in the room for a long time, and they just didn't notice him. It was just like the last time. "MMR Chen." The principal gasped in surprise after recovering from his shock. He silently let out a breath of relief as he stared at Mr. Chen's mask. He was just pondering over how Mr. Chen would know if he told Laura's father about Emily and Mr. Chen's instruction to protect her when the other party suddenly appeared. The principal felt invisible sweat forming on his face. He had escaped a calamity just by keeping his mouth shut. As for how he knew that the senior was Mr. Chen, it was because Mr. Chen was now very popular. Who else went around in Balon City wearing a black robe and plain white mask? The principal didn't know about Mr. Chen's identity previously and was just obeying the other party's instruction because he was at a higher rank. It didn't take long for him to find out about Mr. Chen after word started spreading amongst the explorers in Balon City. Almost everyone was talking about Mr. Chen. Alex wasn't surprised that the principal now knew his identity even though he was a nameless masked mage when they first met. He remained standing in one place as he spoke. He first told the principal that he was satisfied with how he had been following his instructions after they first met, but quickly stated that it wasn't still enough. This was Alex's plan after discovering that the Dark Union wanted to kidnap his sister. He was going to add another layer of protection on top of the officers sent by the Union. At least, someone would be able to watch over his family in secret when he wasn't around. After hearing that Mr. Chen wanted him to not only protect Emily while in school but now had to protect her family as well when they were outside, the principal's face turned ugly and he wanted to protest. Why did he have to do something so tiresome? He was the principal of a school, not the head of some private escort organization. If Mr. Chen wanted to hire escorts for Emily and her family, why didn't he just submit a mission to the Union? The principal believed that hundreds of explorers would be willing to accept the mission since it was Mr. Chen who issued it. Seeing the old man's ugly expression, Alex could tell what he was thinking and honestly didn't blame him, but he wasn't going to change his mind just because of that. He brought out his left hand from under his robe, and a black card appeared between his fingers. It was the Union card which he used to receive payment for the beast corpses and mana cores he sold to the Union. Alex threw the black card toward the old man and the latter caught it, a surprised look on his face. "There's over 10 million yen in there, do a good job," Alex informed. The eyes of the principal widened when he heard this. He stared at the black Union card in his hand before looking at Mr. Chen in disbelief. 10 million yen. Yes, yes. I'll make sure to protect them. The principal nodded his head vigorously like a hen pecking rice. Alex feared for a moment that his head might fly off his neck. Good. Alex voiced out before turning around and stepping back into the white space. In the principal's POV, Mr. Chen turned around and disappeared from the office. While he was surprised, his focus was still on the black card in his hand. A smile couldn't help but form on his face. He was feeling emotional. Mr. Chen finally rewarded him for his efforts. With this 10 million, he didn't need to worry about Laura's father cutting off his support for his school for the time being. His impression of Emily also grew. Mr. Chen was willing to spend this much on Emily even though he hadn't accepted her as his student yet, and all of this was just because she was going to be a talented mage after awakening. He made a decision. He was going to form a stronger bond with student Emily. He didn't dare to try to snatch Mr. Chen's student, but there shouldn't be a problem if he became a mentor to her, right? After Alex was done with his business at Emily's school, he used the void walk skill again and directly went outside the city. He crossed the outpost where the Union officers guarded and appeared a few hundred meters away from the border. When he stepped out of the white space and ended the void walk skill, Alex saw that he was surrounded by yellow sand and the official road that they took the last time could be seen in the distance. With his back facing the direction of Balon City, Alex gazed at the endless land covered in sand before him. Time to farm EXP. As well as earning back the money he gave out earlier. Fruitboval.cm. Somewhere in Balon City, a group of people gathered in a high observation room and stared down at a large platform where lots of children were locked behind glass prisons. Red eyes, what's the decision of the Union after getting the dark beasts from Mr. Chen? We have decided to wait for the branch leader before making any major movements, but the sub-elders and the other elder have agreed to assist Mr. Chen with anything he might need in the meantime. Alright, try to keep the Union occupied for the time being and try to get closer to Mr. Chen and gain his trust. Understood. What are we going to do about Mr. Chen? I feel he might find us even without the Union's help. We can't track his movements. I've requested help from the branch. A red robe is coming to help us kill him. Blue Venom, Your Grace. I've changed my mind. Get that girl and her brother as well. Kill the parents. They made me lose 5 dark beasts. I'm upset. I understand. Good, everything will be in place soon. Balon City will tremble at the name of the Dark Union. Chapter 107, 60 million ch 107 ding. Mission complete, 10 EXP. Weekly mission complete. Kill magic beasts 827/10 reward, 80 EXP. Almighty Path System, error, host, Alex Zorin level, 19 EXP for next level, 9092/100, error, rank, peak stage, master mage rank elements, space. Lightning special abilities, dual element body, the host can use 2 elements. Void walk. Alex stared at the amount of EXP points he had gotten after killing beasts for that whole day. He was very close to reaching 10k EXP points. This way, I'll be able to get enough EXP points to craft the spell before the end of the week, Alex said to himself as he stored the corpse of a mutated rank magic beast in his space pocket. The silver-white star patterns appeared behind him as he placed his palm on the body of the beast and made it disappear. Alex then stood up and took out his phone. He took a look at the time. It was time to return back to Balon City. Alex was delighted with his gains today as he turned around and used Void Walk to leave the place. Although he didn't encounter any large horde of magic beasts like the last time, Alex had still managed to kill over 800 magic beasts, with many of them being at the mutated beast rank, and some even at the transformed beast rank. After using Void Walk several times, Alex entered Balon City without anyone noticing and directly went to the Union Building in the commercial district. He directly used the skill and appeared on the lowest floor of the building, startling the explorers that were already there. Mr. Chen. It's Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen is here. The explorers gasped in surprise as they all looked at him. Mr. Chen's fame had grown yet again after the news of him single-handedly killing a group of mutated rank beasts and a transformed rank beast was spread by the explorers who had been at the Golem Valley that day. During the time while Alex was exploring, the explorers of the Golden Tree Group, the Rising Wave Group, and the other 2 groups actively bragged about how Mr. Chen had come to save them when they thought it was already over for them. The members of the Rising Wave Group were the loudest as they had received the corpses of the high-level magic beasts as gifts from Mr. Chen. They couldn't keep it a secret since there had been others present at that time, so why not just brag about it? This news shocked everyone, and many explorers were already trying to get close to the members of the Rising Wave Group because everyone was already suspecting that Mr. Chen might have a relationship with the leader of the Rising Wave Group, the Water Witch, Mia.Fruanaval_com after, she was someone who had attended a magic university before, her connections weren't something they could guess. But none of these mattered to Alex. He wasn't even aware of the rumors that were spreading about him. He glanced at the excited explorers who were watching him without approaching, clearly holding themselves back. The male explorers stared at him with admiration, while the majority of the female explorers had lustful gazes that roamed his mask and robe. Alex didn't see any member of the Rising Wave Group. He guessed that they might still be recovering at the group base. Not long after, Owen came down to welcome him. The both of them entered the elevator and they began to ascend. Mr. Chen has gotten popular lately. The entire city knows about what you did at the Golem Valley the other day. Mr. Chen is indeed extraordinary. Owen began to speak after the elevator started to rise. His words were filled with praises for Alex, and he really seemed to admire Mr. Chen. After talking for a bit, Owen brought up the matter of Mr. Chen gifting the valuable corpses of the lizardmen to the Rising Wave Group. He asked if Mr. Chen had any relationship with the leader of the Rising Wave Group or if he had any thoughts about the group as a whole. It was just a side thought, don't think too much about it, Alex said casually. Oh, as expected of Mr. Chen. You're probably the only one who will give out corpses of mutated rank magic beasts and a transformed rank beast. Owen smiled lightly. Alex didn't respond and the elevator continued to rise in silence. A bit over a minute passed and the 2 of them reached the room where Alex usually took out the beasts he had come with. As always, Owen remained outside while Alex entered the room alone. Silver-white stars appeared around him before forming 2 star patterns that let out a blinding white glow. Space pocket. The next moment, corpses of magic beasts began to appear in the middle of the room at a fast speed. Different beasts of various sizes quickly formed a huge mountain in the center of the room in a matter of seconds. In the blink of an eye, the corpses of over 800 magic beasts from a huge pile in front of Alex. He had to tilt his head just to see the top. Alex could not help but be amazed as he stared at the mountain of beast corpses in front of him. Everything had actually fit inside the room just as Owen had said. The space inside the room was being controlled by a formation that would allow it to hold whatever was brought inside. It was really true. After marveling for a bit, Alex went out and informed Owen that he was done. Owen nodded with a smile before entering the room while Alex remained outside. The moment Owen entered the room, his body froze as he stared in front of him with shock on his face. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets and his lips twitched. So many beasts' corpses. He was honestly frightened. The corpses of the beasts were so many that he didn't even know what to think. The corpses in front of him included lizardmen, golems, four-eyed cats, and so many different kinds of beasts. Maybe Mr. Chen didn't kill all of these in one day? Outside, Alex waited for Owen to finish with his inspection and calculations. Unlike the other times when he would return with around 20 to 30 beast corpses, he had brought almost 1,000 this time, so it had taken Owen a long time to finish with his calculations, especially since they were not all at the same rank and each corpse had a different value depending on how useful they were to mages. It took Owen almost an hour to finish everything before coming out. The look of disbelief was still on his face even after he came out of the room. His head turned and he looked at Mr. Chen's mask. "MMR Chen, those beast corpses." Owen tried to say something but trailed off as he realized that he didn't even know what he wanted to say. In the end, he only expressed his surprise at seeing so many beasts at the mutated and transformed beast rank within the mountain of beast corpses. He then asked Alex to follow him to his office so they could proceed with the payment. After reaching the office, Owen didn't ask Mr. Chen if he wanted his payment to be transferred since he already knew that Mr. Chen only took union cards. Alex was stunned after hearing that everything he had brought had earned him 60 million yen after the service cost was deducted. Owen asked for his union card so he could add the money to it. Alex didn't react immediately after hearing the amount he just made. 60 million yen. For someone who wasn't in urgent need of money at the moment, Alex felt overwhelmed by the sum that Owen had mentioned. It was several times more than what he had given to Emily's principal. "I lost the previous card, give me another one," Alex said after calming himself. "Owen." He stared at Mr. Chen, speechless. "I know that an expert like yourself won't lack money, but the previous card had over 10 million yen the last time you came. Even if 10 million yen means nothing to you, how can you say you lost it?" Owen raged inwardly but quickly calmed down as he realized that Mr. Chen must have other reasons that he didn't want to say. After all, Mr. Chen had a storage device and he couldn't misplace something. As for the issue of theft, who would be bold enough to rob someone like Mr. Chen? Would they be alive to spend the money? Yes, he must have gifted it to someone or just wants to have a second union card. Owen concluded as he went out of the office to arrange a second union card with Mr. Chen's money. After a bit, Owen returned and handed the card to Mr. Chen. Alex stared at the card in his hand. 60 million yen, he wondered how his parents would react if they knew that he had this much money. Chapter 108, Two Core Mages of the Academy. Alex left Owen's office and returned to the lowest floor of the Union building where many explorers were still present. When they saw him come out of the elevator, all their attention immediately turned to him. But the next moment, Mr. Chen suddenly vanished into thin air before them. Everyone. They were all shocked by this. Mr. Chen had vanished without a trace, no mana fluctuation, and no gust of wind. It was as if Mr. Chen had faded out of existence. Shocking. Meanwhile, Alex had arrived at a quiet corner in the outskirts. He had used Void Walk to leave the Union building in front of many people. This was to build more air of mystery around Mr. Chen. He had decided to keep doing this, appearing and disappearing at the lowest floor with Void Walk. While in the white space, Alex had returned the all-knowing mask and indestructible robe back to the system. So when he stepped out of the white space, he was back to his usual clothes. Where he had appeared wasn't far from his home. He didn't use the void walk a second time and walked the rest of the way. While walking home, Alex saw more Union officers patrolling with magic weapons in their hands. He spread out his senses and spotted some figures in different buildings around his home. All of them were at the core mage rank. After observing them a bit longer, Alex guessed that these people were sent by the principal. Alex wasn't very sure of his guess, so he kept observing them. While the core mage rank was weak, it should be enough to protect his family during the day when he was not around. That night, Alex didn't sleep and observed the people who he suspected were sent by the principal. By morning, Alex was certain of his guess, as they didn't move from the buildings they were in throughout the night. They would most likely only come out if something happened. It was Monday and it was time to go back to the academy. The family carried out their necessary morning activities before Alex and Emily left the house. Alex could feel a few presences following them till they left the outskirts. Only then did the people return. The siblings walked for minutes before separating. After reaching Emily's school, Alex continued to the academy by himself. He was early as usual and only a few people had arrived. Classes started as usual, but the effect of Alex's sudden transformation had yet to die out, and the students were still talking about it. Time passed swiftly and it was time for the competition to continue. After 3 rounds, there were only 20 students left, and today was the semi-finals to decide the 5 students who would represent the academy in the tournament next month. The next day was the last day where the last 10 students would compete for the 5 slots. There were only going to be 10 fights today, and all of the students who were still remaining were at the top of their classes and had impressive combat abilities in the eyes of the rest of the students. The field was soon filled with students as 2 teachers walked up to the ring, where they started to call the students by their numbers. Student number 1 and student number 17, come on stage. The voice of the teacher rang out. 2 students soon approached the ring and stood opposite each other with a distance of 15 meters between them. The first fight was between Laura and another 4th-year student. Alex looked at Laura's opponent. It was a young boy around their age with a handsome face and short white hair. The boy wore a neat uniform that seemed rather new, with a pale blue cloak around his shoulders. For some reason, even though his opponent was Laura, who was currently known as the strongest student in the entire academy for being in the core rank, this student had a soft smile on his face. He clearly wasn't afraid of Laura. This made Alex raise an eyebrow in surprise. Many students would already be trembling and calling to surrender by now, but this person was just smiling at Laura and appeared very calm. Alex didn't have a deep impression of this student. Even from the memories of the previous Alex, they didn't interact much. Alex watched with interest. He wanted to see if the student was going to impress him or was about to be embarrassed by Laura. Frib Noel Co. What? Goddess Laura's opponent is Glenn? How can this be? Oh no, my Ice Prince is going against Goddess Laura. This is terrible. They should replace them. Both of them shouldn't be opponents. The students became noisy after seeing the 2 on stage. Alex knew why they were reacting this way, as he had been watching the competition from the start as well. While he wasn't really interested in fights between adept mages, he had to admit that the student named Glenn was quite strong among those of the same rank. Alex felt that Glenn had a good chance of claiming one of the 5 spots to participate in the tournament, but things would be different if he had to face Laura. Both of them were talented students, and having them join the tournament together wasn't a bad thing. Alas, one of them was about to be eliminated. To the students, the victor was already decided. After all, Laura was at the core rank. But Alex didn't think so. He felt that this student was going to give them a surprise. Begin. The voice of the teacher rang out, signaling for the fight to start. Glenn and Laura didn't take action immediately. They just stood there and stared at each other. Laura's face was cold, while Glenn had a gentle smile that made some of the female students talk nonsense and fantasize. Surrender, you are not my match, Laura said to Glenn after a few seconds. Shouldn't I at least try before deciding that? Glenn asked, still smiling. Laura's eyes twitched. This person's smile was starting to irritate her, just like the face of a certain someone. "Don't say I didn't warn you, you won't have the chance to surrender now," Laura voiced out before releasing her mana from her body. Boom. The aura of a core mage burst out like a small explosion that caused her red cloak to dance in the air. The students who were watching cheered with excitement upon seeing this, while some female students shouted for Glenn to surrender before he got hurt. In response to this, Glenn only said lightly, "I guess I can't hide it anymore." The next moment, his body also exploded with powerful mana. Core mage. Everyone was shocked, even Alex was stunned by this turn of events. He hadn't checked Glenn's rank previously, so he also thought the boy was at the adept mage rank. Who would have thought that he had reached the core mage rank as well? The teachers in the ring were also startled by this, but their expressions soon turned strange as they looked at Laura and Glenn. These two were very much likely the two strongest students of the academy. It was a pity that the two of them would not be able to represent the academy, since one would be eliminated. It was indeed a waste for them to fight. After discovering this, the students who were previously worried about Glenn were now cheering with excitement. Laura gazed at Glenn's smiling face with a small frown on her face. It left a bad taste in her mouth to know that someone else had also reached the core rank but had been hiding it all this time. The next moment, red stars appeared around her and formed a star pattern quickly. Fireball. Laura's voice rang out as she cast a fireball. The big fireball shot out from the star pattern and flew toward Glenn. The speed of the fireball wasn't too fast, but it would be difficult for a weaker mage to dodge at such a distance, but Glenn was at the core rank as well. With a soft smile still on his face, Glenn moved around the ring and quickly arrived 10 meters away from his previous location. Boom. The fireball crashed into the ground and exploded like fireworks. The ground was instantly scorched, and pieces of concrete flew into the air. "How fierce, not bad," Glenn stated as he stared at the scorched spot 10 meters away while nodding his head. "Shut up." Laura spat before dashing toward him. Stars appeared around her as she moved. Glenn looked at this with calm eyes. Pale blue stars also formed around him and formed a star pattern in a flash. 2 seconds. His casting speed wasn't slower than Laura's. Fireball. Frozen fangs. Both of them called out the names of their spells at almost the same time. A fireball shot out of Laura's star pattern as she came to a stop a couple of meters away from Glenn, while a meter-long ice cone shot out from Glenn's pale blue star pattern. Both spells clashed in the air. Boom. Chapter 109, Fire Claw. A shockwave that carried cold air along with it swept through the ring after both spells exploded, shrouding a part of the ring in a fog of white mist and smoke. Glenn and Laura had already moved. Laura crossed the ring and moved closer to Glenn while stars of the fire element flew behind her like floating strings. She stopped and started to connect the stars. Red visible threads of mana linked the stars at a breakneck speed before quickly forming a complete star pattern. Flare. Tongues of flames immediately formed around Laura before moving toward Glenn. Seeing this, Glenn didn't move and summoned his pale blue stars as well, which quickly formed a shiny star pattern as the temperature around the ring dropped. Freezing wave. Glenn called out. A burst of cold air instantly rushed out from the star pattern and began to freeze the area around him. Visible frost appeared in the air like winter. At the same time, Laura made the tongues of flames to detonate around Glenn. Boom. Multiple explosions went off around Glenn as the tongues of flames exploded, breaking the barely formed ice in the area and covering the place in thick mist. The entire field was silent as everyone stared into the thick mist, unsure of Glenn's condition. Only the teachers and Alex were able to tell that Glenn wasn't harmed by the series of explosions despite being at the center of it. By freezing the area around him before they exploded, he had dropped the temperature so much that the explosions didn't have much power anymore and could not harm him. After a few seconds of silence, the temperature around the ring suddenly dropped again as a blue light flashed within the thick mist. Everyone saw it. The next moment, Glenn's voice was heard. Ice shackles. Swoosh. Two thick ice chains shot out from the mist after Glenn's voice sounded. They shot toward Laura like snakes. Their speed was incredibly fast. The surrounding students gasped. They didn't expect Glenn's to send out a core spell under the coverage of the mist. Tap. 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 Although Laura was also surprised by the sudden ice spells, she wasn't going to get caught easily. Her legs moved as she ran around the ring, avoiding the ice chains that flew after her. Her movements were gracious as she danced around on the ring and dodged the chains, cold air brushing against her body. By now, the mist surrounding Glenn had dissipated and everyone could now see him. The two star patterns stood behind him in the air like two large eyes, each of the ice chains extending out from the two as Glenn controlled them to chase Laura. Seeing that the mist around Glenn had now dissipated and she could see him, Laura dodged the ice chains again by doing a flip in the air while twisting her body. Immediately her feet touched the ground, she dashed toward Glenn with great speed. The ice chains followed closely behind her. Glenn's expression changed upon seeing that Laura was coming for him. The ice chains required him to stay in one place while controlling it. If he continued, then Laura would definitely reach him, and he would lose. Left with no choice, Glenn ended the spell. The two star patterns behind him disappeared as he moved away from Laura. The two ice chains that were chasing behind Laura also shattered after Glenn stopped controlling them. Seeing this, the glint in Laura's eyes intensified as she summoned her stars again. She didn't connect them immediately and tried to move closer to Glenn. The white-haired Glenn jumped backwards and landed 7 meters away from his previous position, his stars already appearing around him again. He hastily connected them after landing on the ground. Another 2 star patterns formed around him, but this time, the star patterns dropped to the ground after forming. Ice spikes. Glenn called out. The ground immediately cracked open after he called the name of the spell. Large ice spikes burst out from the ground and spread toward Laura through the ground. Seeing this, a small grin formed on Laura's face as half of the stars behind her vanished. She suddenly came to a stop and formed a single star pattern in a flash. Fireball. A large fireball shot out and crashed into the ice spikes, setting off another explosion and creating a mist screen between the two of them. Glenn's expression changed as a frown formed on his face. He couldn't see Laura anymore and didn't know what she was doing. He decided to move away from his current location just to be safe, but before he could even take a step, the temperature on the ring suddenly increased. Glenn caught a flash of red glow from the corner of his eyes. His head turned to the side as he stared at Laura, who now had 2 star patterns in front of her with a surprised face. When did she get there? Fireclaw. Laura's voice sounded at this moment. Raging flames burst out from the 2 star patterns behind her after she called out the spells and formed into a large fire claw that flew toward Glenn immediately after forming. Its flight speed was startling. Glenn's expression changed drastically as he watched the fire claw flying toward him. He could already feel the heat from it even though it was still some distance away. With the speed at which it was flying, he wouldn't be able to avoid it completely if he tried to dodge. His only option would be to send an attack to destroy it. Glenn reacted quickly after having this thought and formed a star pattern. Frozen Fang. An ice cone shot out from his star pattern toward the fire claw. Glenn also tried to move after sending out the spell. He had barely taken 2 steps when the 2 spells met each other. The eyes of everyone widened when they saw the ice fang melt into water droplets the moment it made contact with the fire claw before continuing to fly toward Glenn at its original speed. Glenn. So strong? Even though his spell was only an adept rank spell, it shouldn't have melted so quickly in the face of a core spell. It should have taken a few moments at least or weakened the power of the fire claw a bit. The only explanation for this was that Laura's flame was stronger than those of ordinary core fire mages. A soft smile formed on Glenn's face at this realization. Guess I'm still a bit weaker, he thought as he closed his eyes while the fire claw continued to fly toward him. But just before it could reach him, one of the teachers arrived beside him and grabbed him before moving to a different location. Bam! The fire claw smashed into the ground and caused the ring to tremble. A scorched mark that was the shape of a claw immediately formed on the concrete floor of the ring after it landed on the ground. Repeatable. Glenn opened his eyes after this and glanced around. He wasn't surprised by the teacher's arrival since that was why they were present. It was to avoid students getting hurt badly. Looking at the scorched mark on the ground, Glenn was sure that he would have been hurt beyond badly had he been hit by the fire claw. He gazed at Laura in the distance before flashing a gentle smile. He had lost, but he didn't feel bad about it. Well, at least he didn't show it. Student number 1 wins. The other teacher announced Laura's victory and the students immediately erupted with cheers. Many of them had already predicted this, but they still cheered with excitement. The fight between Laura and Glenn was undeniably the most exciting fight that they had seen since the start of the competition. The shock that they had gotten from finding out that Glenn was also a core mage added to their excitement as well, and even though he had lost, many people still cheered for him. They just felt it was a pity. He would have definitely won if his opponent wasn't Goddess Laura. In the corner, Alex looked with a calm expression on his face. He still believed that Glenn could have won this fight, and the only reason he lost was his lack of fighting experience. After Laura created that mist screen by exploding his ice spikes with a fireball, she instantly moved under the coverage of the explosion effect, which was why Glenn didn't see her. Anyone with enough fighting experience would have immediately moved backwards to gain more viewing range instead of wasting time like Glenn had done. But then, it didn't really matter to him who won or lost between the two. He wasn't friends with any of them and didn't support either. However, he would have wanted Laura to lose so he could mock her about it and make her angrier. After all, she was the first to pick on him after he transmigrated over as Alex. Chapter 110, Why Are You Still Awake? After Laura's fight with Glenn, more students were called to the ring to fight. The remaining participants were all at the adept mage rank, so Alex didn't find their fights as interesting as Laura's and Glenn's. However, he agreed that they were already strong enough for their level and were above most students in the academy. Alex's turn came after 6 matches, and without surprise, his opponent surrendered immediately, and the fight started. Seems like what happened to Fabio had left a lasting impression on them. Alex felt this was fine as well. He wasn't really interested in fighting these kids anyway, it was just too boring. Meanwhile, in the office of the vice dean of the academy, Laura's father sat across from the vice dean, who was in a long green robe. We can't let the both of them face each other in the selection competition. We've already decided to have them represent the academy in the tournament, and it'll be a loss if either of them gets eliminated before the tournament. The vice dean said seriously. Her gaze showed that she didn't plan to change her stand on the matter. Bam! What do you mean it will be a loss? Do you think my daughter would lose to that trash who was stuck at the apprentice rank for 4 years? Laura's father slammed his palms on the vice dean's desk and snapped angrily. Mr. Malcolm, every student of the academy is under our protection and I will not tolerate outsiders calling them names. The vice dean retorted with a cold gaze. Laura's father, Mr. Malcolm, gritted his teeth. So what? It's not like I'm lying, that brat hasn't made any progress during his 4 years in the academy and you're now protecting him just because he reached the adept rank? Which student isn't at the adept rank? He hissed. That's for the academy to worry about. I still won't have them compete against each other. I do not know for what reason you would pay attention to matters between the younger generation, but I would advise you not to interfere in matters of the academy, the vice dean said strongly. Mr. Malcolm's expression was cold as he suppressed his anger. Ever since the news about Laura getting humiliated by the popular trash of the academy reached him, members of the other big families in Balon City had often brought it up whenever they were at a gathering. This matter irritated him so much that he even scolded Laura and told her to get back at the brat. But even after a week, he didn't receive any news, and after questioning Laura, he realized that she probably wasn't going to get that chance. The brat had shown how strong the space element was, and Laura was the most talented student in the academy, so it was common sense to have both of them team up and represent the academy in the upcoming tournament. But what of Laura's humiliation? It would forever remain a stain in his name that his daughter lost to someone who wasn't able to leave the apprentice mage rank for 4 years. Still unwilling to give up, Laura's father suggested that the academy set Laura and Alex as opponents for the finals of the selection competition, and regardless of who won, the academy can still put both of them on the team for the tournament. He just wanted Laura to face that kid and defeat him. But the vice dean still refused. How was she possibly going to explain to the other students if they gave one of the 5 spots to either of the two after one was eliminated? And how was she going to explain to the dean when he returned that she had one of the 2 most promising students eliminated during the selection competition because Mr. Malcolm requested it? Humph, since you won't listen to me, then you can forget about having my daughter represent your trashy academy. Do you know how many academies wanted her? I made her come here because of my friendship with the dean of this academy, but you clearly don't know your place. Since you don't want to have them face each other, I'll look for another way. Mr. Malcolm snorted disdainfully before storming out of the office. The vice dean stared in silence as she watched the other party leave. A sigh left her lips after he exited the office and slammed the door shut. Back at the field, the last match had just finished and the 10 students who would be competing in the finals tomorrow had emerged. They were Alex, Laura, and 8 other students. Shocking enough, one of the 8 students who had made it to this round was a third-year student. A young girl with the plant element. With 10 students left, there were going to be 5 matches tomorrow and the winners would be the ones who would represent the academy in the tournament. 2 people were already guaranteed to win tomorrow. They were Alex and Laura. The remaining 3 spots were what the rest of the students were going to be competing for. They were most likely praying not to get either Alex or Laura as their opponents for that final. Alex left right after the end of the last fight. The fights today were few and quick, so they had closed very early. He managed to reach Emily's school just a few minutes after they closed. Emily was surprised to see him and was also happy. The 2 of them walked home together. Nothing happened on their way home. The officers sent by the Union were still patrolling, and Alex could still detect the mages who were guarding his home when he spread out his senses. The siblings soon got him. Alex prepared to go out again and farm some EXP points, but he got a message from Mia. The message stated that he was to go on a mission with some members of the group and that someone would come pick him up soon. Alex frowned slightly. He didn't want to go on any missions for now because he wanted to farm EXP to craft the spell for the kidnapping case. He wrote back, saying that he had something important to take care of and if he could do the mission some other time. Mia's response came quickly. The woman was very understanding and agreed to Alex's request. A smile formed on Alex's face after reading Mia's response, and he kept his phone in his pocket. "I'm going now, Mom," Alex called out as he walked through the door. "All right dear, come back early." His mother's voice came from inside, but Alex was already gone. He didn't use Void Walk immediately after leaving his home area since he could feel someone was following him. It was one of the people who was guarding their house. He walked until he left the outskirts, but the person was still following him while keeping a good distance. Alex. Maybe it wasn't a good thing to have asked Emily's principal to have people guard his family all the time. He was starting to get annoyed. While Alex was thinking of how he should leave without appearing suspicious, he noticed someone walking toward him. Alex raised an eyebrow. There were quite a few people around, but this person was walking in a way that would allow him to bump into Alex. Alex shifted a few times as if he was moving randomly and noticed that the other party was adjusting to his movements. Interesting, Alex mumbled under his breath and kept walking forward. After a few seconds, the 2 of them bumped into each other as if it were a coincidence. Both of them took several steps backwards after hitting each other. "Oh, sorry about that, kid. Are you all right?" The other figure, who was a man in his 30s, asked with a small smile on his face. Alex was about to respond when a strange scent suddenly entered his nose. Alex's body stiffened for a moment before returning to normal. His eyes moved and he noticed a small tube in the left hand of the man in front of him. Both of them stood still as they looked at each other. The man smiled softly as he gazed at Alex as if waiting for something to happen. Was I supposed to pass out or something? Alex wondered when he saw the way the man was looking at him. After a few seconds, the man soon realized that something was wrong and his expression changed to one of shock. Why are you still awake? The man exclaimed as he took a few steps backwards. The few people around them looked over but didn't pay much attention as they continued on their way. Shouldn't I be awake? Alex asked curiously. He observed the other party and saw that he was a core mage. The man. He was in disbelief. The substance that he had released was a mind-numbing drug that could knock even core mage unconscious and cause those at the expert mage rank to be paralyzed for a few minutes. How was this brat still alright? Chapter 111, Kidnapped. Alex and the man stared at each other for a few seconds without either of them saying a single word. They just blinked at each other. After almost 10 seconds of staring, the man looked down at the small tube in his hand as he thought if he had brought the wrong item, which was why Alex didn't pass out after inhaling the substance inside. Whatever. Brat, you're coming with me. The man suddenly said. He kept the tube and took large steps towards Alex. Don't even try to struggle, I'm a core mage while you're just an adept mage. The man whispered after reaching Alex and grabbing him by the left wrist. Due to the skill, aura meter, he believed that Alex was an adept mage. Besides, it was also in the information that he had received. Alex didn't try to struggle after he was grabbed and followed the man as he pulled Alex along with him away from the area with people. Those around didn't pay much attention to this as they saw it as a scuffle between relatives. They assumed that Alex was the man's son and was being scolded. After all, Alex seemed to be following willingly and was resisting. The man was pleased with Alex's attitude. This would save him a lot of effort and trouble. Although the mind-numbing drug didn't work, this brat turned out to be an obedient type. He must have been scared out of his mind after hearing that I'm a core mage. Good that you know how to behave, the man sneered inwardly, making his duty even easier. Meanwhile, Alex followed behind the man as they left the eyes of people while having a different thought. He wasn't an idiot and knew that he was being kidnapped right now and in broad daylight at that. These people were really bold. Is this person related to the Dark Union as well? If I let him kidnap me, won't he take me to where the other missing people are? Alex thought seriously. Maybe he should allow himself to get kidnapped. If he was taken to where the others were, it would help him solve the case even faster since he would not have to look for them anymore. But there was one problem. Alex turned his head and glanced from the corner of his eyes at a figure who had appeared behind them. At that moment, the man had dragged Alex into a quiet corner where nobody would come too easily. The person who had appeared behind them was the person who had been following Alex from the moment he left his home on the outskirts. Let the kid go. An authoritative voice came from behind them at this moment. This made Alex click his tongue. There goes his chance to get kidnapped successfully. Meanwhile, the eyes of the man who was dragging Alex widened as he turned his head with a swift movement to look behind them. There, a few meters behind them stood a tall figure in casual clothes and had two of his hands tucked away in his pants pockets. A frown formed on the face of the man who was kidnapping Alex. He noticed that the other person was a core mage just like him. Did he get discovered? But this person doesn't seem to be with the Union. Who are you? The kidnapper asked in a probing tone. While saying this, he pushed Alex to the side and told him sternly not to go anywhere. Alex only returned a blank look. He didn't want to go anywhere in the first place. He was even dissatisfied that someone had come to save him. It doesn't matter who I am, all that's important is that you let that kid go. Don't you have anything else important to do rather than going around kidnapping young boys? Don't tell me you swing that way. The tall figure said lazily, a teasing glint in his eyes. The face of the kidnapper twitched. "You're the one who swings that way, your entire family are the ones who swings that way." He spat angrily. What nonsense was this person talking about? He might be a kidnapper, but he wasn't such a person to go after the same sex. "I'm warning you, mind your business if you know what's good for you. You don't want to offend me," the kidnapper said coldly after calming himself. While saying this, stars of the Earth's elements started to appear around him. "Eh? Are you sure you want to use magic here? You'll alert members of the Union who are patrolling nearby. I don't think you would want that." The tall man didn't seem scared by the other party's actions, he even had a relaxed smile on his face. The kidnapper clicked his tongue upon hearing this, and the stars that had appeared around him disappeared. What this person said was true. It would be tricky if the members of the Union came here and found him trying to kidnap someone. But how was he supposed to kidnap this kid if he didn't kill this person? Thinking of this, he glanced at where Alex was standing earlier and his eyes almost popped out from shock. Alex was gone. The kidnapper looked around to see if the kid had moved to a different position, but he couldn't find Alex anywhere. The kidnapper. His gaze was ferocious as he turned to look at the tall figure in the distance. He looked like he was about to murder someone. The other party also noticed that Alex was gone as well. He was surprised because he didn't notice when Alex had moved either, but that was not what was important. "Looks like he got away, I'll get going, too, then. Of course, I'll report you to the Union, so I guess you'll be on the run for some time." The tall man smiled before dashing away at a fast speed. The kidnapper was left speechless as he stared at the fleeing man. "You fucker, get back here. I'm going to fucking kill you." He exploded in anger and chased after the other party, but it seemed like the other party had the wind element because his speed was so freakish that the kidnapper soon lost sight of him after they ran for just a few seconds. "Damn it!" the kidnapper cursed as he punched the wall of a building behind him, and the wall immediately cracked. He took out a phone and made a call. The call soon connected. "You have him yet?" a voice sounded from the other end of the call. "No, please forgive, Your Grace," the kidnapper replied before proceeding to explain what had happened after he captured Alex. Seems like someone is protecting them. All this can't be a coincidence. Don't come back yet. Someone could be following you. As for that person, find him and kill him," the voice on the other end of the call ordered. "Understood, Your Grace." "What about the boy and his family?" "Leave them be for now since they are being protected. We'll get back at them during the chaos." "I understand," the kidnapper said before ending the call. All these while, Alex was watching from the top of a nearby building. He had heard everything. He had left without any of them noticing earlier and had planned to follow this person back to their base since he could no longer go as a kidnapped person. It turned out that this person's boss wasn't so stupid and had predicted that someone might follow him. Now he was back to where he started. Alex sighed as he stood up on top of the building, his eyes fixed on the figure of the kidnapper who had started to move. Well, at least he now had someone he could interrogate. Plus, he couldn't let this person go since Alex had heard about them planning to kill that tall man who had interfered. Although Alex was annoyed that that person had ruined his perfect chance by coming out, he had done it with a good intention and was under orders, which was indirectly Alex's fault as well. He couldn't stand by and watch him get killed. But what was he supposed to do? Kill this person? Kill a person? Alex mumbled to himself as the idea of killing another person made him feel strange. He knew that these people deserved to be killed because of their hideous acts, but he had never killed before. Alex shook his head. He would worry about that later. He took out his mask and robe before activating Void Walk. The kidnapper had just turned into an alley when a masked figure suddenly appeared in front of him out of thin air. His eyes widened in horror as he gasped. MMR Chen. Alex didn't give him any time to act. His right hand moved like lightning as he grabbed the man's neck. The other party made a choking sound and grabbed Alex's arm but was unable to break free. His wide eyes stared at Alex with fear. "Tell me where your base is," Alex demanded. But instead of responding, the man bit something in his mouth. The next moment, his eyes rolled back into their sockets and foam began to come out from his mouth. He had committed suicide. Alex. Does this count as him killing someone? Chapter 112, Spellcrafted. Archmage rank. Alex stared at the lifeless body in his hand. He was speechless. Why did this person decide to commit suicide instead of trying to survive? It was just too ridiculous. Now, his only lead to solve the case of the missing people was gone. What Alex didn't know was that the Dark Union had given an order to all of their members to commit suicide once they were captured by Mr. Chen, since it was near impossible to escape from him, considering everything that they had learned about him. The members of the Dark Union were so crazy that they actually followed such barbaric instructions. They believed it was better to end their own lives than to be captured and tortured for information while waiting to be rescued. Alex stored the corpse of the man in his storage ring before leaving the place. Since the person wasn't a living being anymore, the storage ring could now store it. Alex used the void walk skill and directly appeared inside the Union building, startling everyone again. Owen quickly came down to receive him, and Alex once again asked him to gather all of the leading people in the Union branch. In a bit, Alex and the 2 elders and 3 sub-elders of the Union branch were once again gathered in the meeting room. After everyone was complete, Alex took out the corpse of the kidnapper and dropped it on the ground. Everyone was shocked by this and looked at Mr. Chen with unsettled expressions. Was Mr. Chen going around killing people now? How were they supposed to react to this? Noticing their expressions, Alex explained what had happened. Of course, he made some adjustments. He said that he was coming to the Union building when he noticed this person kidnapping a kid from the street without being noticed. When he apprehended the kidnapper, the other person committed suicide instead of facing him. After listening to this, Lance and the others let out sighs of relief. They were glad that it wasn't Mr. Chen who killed this person. That would put them in a different position, since it wasn't easy to identify the members of the Dark Union. When asked about the kid who was being kidnapped, Alex said that the kid ran away after he was freed. He didn't remember the kid's face either. Everyone. Well, that wasn't important. We are very grateful for your assistance, Mr. Chen. Now we have somewhere to start from in our investigation. Sylvia said with a grateful bow. They said that they were going to investigate this corpse's identity and might find more leads on the case. They would inform him once they noticed anything. Alex left the Union building after that, as he still planned to head outside the border and farm EXP. Days passed by quickly. 5 days later. It was Saturday and Alex had once again come outside the borders of Balan City to farm EXP points. He stood on top of a large pointed rock, facing a vast plain that was covered in brown rocks. From here, he could sense hundreds of magic beasts by just spreading out his mage senses. Alex summoned his system profile and looked at his EXP points. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zarin level, 19 EXP for next level, 43215/100, Error, Rank, Peak Stage, Master Mage Rank Elements, Space. Lightning Special Abilities, Dual Element Body, the host can use 2 elements. Void Walk. Just a bit more, Alex mumbled to himself as he stared at his profile. He had gotten over 40k EXP points over the past few days and was now very close to getting 50k for the spell that he wanted to craft. He was certain that he would be able to complete the required EXP points by the end of the day. After retrieving his system profile, Alex shot into the air with a powerful leap. Boom! The force of his jump directly shattered the upper layer of the rock he was standing on previously as a loud sound echoed through the place. Alex found his first group of magic beasts after moving for just a few hundred meters. It was a group of 20 one-eyed cats, all of them showing their fangs at Alex immediately after they spotted him. Alex slowly stretched his arm towards them as silver-white stars appeared behind him and formed a large star constellation. Space cut, Alex mumbled silently as his eyes glowed with a white light behind his mask. The next moment, the space of 10 meters where some of the magic beasts were standing suddenly disappeared into a small crater, and the magic beasts disappeared as well. It was as if an invisible large mouth had bitten that portion away from the ground and swallowed the cats in the process. In one instance, 6 of the one-eyed cats had been killed, and notifications appeared in front of Alex. Alex didn't stop there and used Space Cut 3 times in a row and cleaned up the remaining magic beasts before they could even react as they vanished into thin air. Alex had lost count of how many magic beasts he had killed during the past few days. Both his storage ring and space pocket were filled to the brim and couldn't take in even a pebble anymore, so Alex didn't bother with keeping the corpses of the magic beasts that he killed anymore. He hadn't returned to the Union building during the past few days, so he had not gotten the chance to sell off the corpses in his storage. This was because he had been farming EXP till very late during the past days and would only return just a few hours before his parents began to worry. This was why he didn't get the chance to go to the Union building lately, but he was fine with this. After killing the one-eyed cats, Alex made his way toward the next group of magic beasts. Thoughts of what had happened during the past days flashed through his mind. The competition in the academy had ended, and the 5 people who would be representing the academy in the All-Academy Star Tournament had been decided. What shocked everyone was that Laura suddenly stopped coming to the academy after her fight with Glenn. She didn't show up for the final competition. It was later revealed by the vice dean that Laura's father had removed her from the academy. Even the vice dean and teachers had not expected such an outcome. Due to Laura leaving the academy, the school had decided to give Glenn the spot since he was undoubtedly the best choice after they found out he was a core mage like Laura. Now, the 5 people who would be representing the academy were Alex, Glenn, the third-year student whose name was Amelia and who had the plant element, and 2 other fourth-year students. Outside the matters of the academy, Alex also noticed that nobody had come to bother his family during the past few days. It was as if they had stopped all of their plans after that kidnapper died in his hands. The outskirts were relatively peaceful these past days. Regarding the Rising Wave group, Mia had allowed Alex to skip all of his missions after he requested some time off to settle some other matters. Mia knew that the tournament was coming up and Alex had qualified. She assumed that he wanted to train and prepare for the tournament so she didn't burden him with the group's missions. This had given Alex all the time he needed to farm EXP outside the border. The group also didn't go on any raids this week as the experience from the last one had not washed away completely. Back to the present, Alex had reached the next group of magic beasts. Telekinesis. Space Cut. Space Bullets. Lightning Strike. Lightning Bolt. Alex immediately rained a barrage of spells on the magic beasts, killing all of the magic beasts in less than 5 seconds. Star patterns and star constellations flashed in the air constantly at a blinding speed. The connecting process was less than a second. Hours passed and it was now evening. Alex sat on top of a large beast corpse as he summoned his system profile. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zorin Level, 19 EXP for next level, 50270/100, Error, Rank, Peak Stage, Master Mage Rank Elements, Space. Lightning Special Abilities, Dual Element Body, the host can use 2 elements. Void Walk. Alex's eyes flashed with an excited gleam. He now had more than 50,000 EXP points. He could now craft the spell. Alex didn't hesitate and immediately started the crafting process, and 50k EXP points instantly disappeared from his profile. Ding! The spell Warden of the Rift had been crafted successfully and added to the host's spell slot. Requirement for casting spell, 4-star constellations. Archmage rank. A wave of excitement exploded within Alex after crafting the spell successfully. As for the requirements needed to cast it, Alex wasn't bothered in the slightest since he still had 200 EXP points. Alex immediately leveled up twice. Ding. Level up. LV19, LV20, LV21. Peak stage, Master Mage rank, low stage, Archmage rank mid stage, Archmage rank, frugnoel.com boom. Chapter 113, Warden of the Rift. Blink. The mana inside of Alex's soul sea surged like turbulent waves after he directly jumped to the mid stage of the Archmage rank. His soul seas expanded rapidly as new stars formed at a fast speed and filled the now expensed soul sea. Due to the force of the mana outburst after Alex's advance to the Archmage rank, the corpses he was sitting on had been blasted to bits and the area around him had been flattened into a large crater. It was as if an explosion had set off here. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zorin level, 21 EXP for next level, 70/100, Error, Rank, Mid-Stage, Archmage rank elements, Space. Lightning special abilities, Dual element body, the host can use 2 elements. Free of novel C Sigma Void Walk. Alex summoned his system profile and took a look, a big smile appeared under the all-knowing mask. Although his EXP points almost disappeared, he was very satisfied with the result. Not only had he crafted the spell that he wanted successfully, but he had also reached the Archmage rank as well. Alex closed his eyes and felt the power rushing through his body. He felt like he had become a god and nothing was impossible. He spread out his senses as an Archmage and his senses instantly covered dozens of miles around him. Alex withdrew his senses as silver-white stars appeared around him the next second. He wanted to test out the spell that he had crafted. Shiny stars appeared around Alex one after the other quickly, and the space around him quickly looked like a small galaxy with tens of stars surrounding him. After the stars appeared, they began to link with each other and formed star patterns before forming 4 large star constellations. It was a spectacular and breathtaking sight, and everything had still happened in under 1 second. The speed was just out of the world and would make countless powerful mages die from jealousy. After the 4 star patterns formed, Alex slowly opened his mouth and mentioned the name of the spell. Warden of the Rift, whoosh. In the next instant, after Alex called out the spell, a gust of soft wind blew and seemed to carry Alex's consciousness along with it. Everywhere suddenly became silent for a while, as if he was at the bottom of the ocean. When Alex opened his eyes, it was as if he could see hundreds of miles around him at a glance. He wasn't in a bird's view like when he used Void Walk, but he wasn't in his normal view either. It was as if he was everywhere at the same time. But this feeling quickly stopped as Alex's view returned to normal. He was back to where he was standing previously, but his eyes were currently glowing brightly behind the mask. The spell was still active, and Alex could sense everything within 100-mile radius of him. His vision would instantly move along with his thoughts, and he could see everything within the range of the spell. The exact shape of the place, the magic beasts, he could see everything clearly. That wasn't all, Alex could hear everything within this range as well. The growls of magic beasts, the passing wind, the heartbeats of the beasts, and even the blood rushing through their veins. Alex could hear everything. He could also feel every single mana in the area as well. Be it the mana coming from magic beasts, the mana in the air, or the ones coming out from natural items, he could feel everything. Alex was very pleased with this effect. It was just as he wanted. This spell would make him be wherever he wanted without even being there. He could see, hear, and sense what was happening there from 100 miles away. The effect of a mage's senses could never reach such a level. This was exactly what Alex needed to solve the case of the missing people. After calming down his excitement, Alex spent a few minutes getting used to the effects of the spell. While it was an incredible scouting ability, he was currently unable to filter the things he was hearing, and everything was just being dumped in his ears as if he was in the middle of a concert. After spending nearly 30 minutes trying to get used to the hearing ability of the spell, Alex had quickly gotten a hang of it, and it was time for him to return. Since he had finished earlier today than in previous days, he would stop by and sell all of the beast corpses in his possession. The next was going to be a big day since it was when he had decided to take action and look for the missing children. There wasn't any need to delay any more since he now had what he was waiting for. Now that he was an archmage, Alex was now able to use the teleportation spell of the space element called Blink. Just like its name, the spell would allow the mage to teleport himself or any other target to a far distance in an instant. The size of the spell was enough to teleport a few people or larger objects, but he just had to get the star constellations under whatever he wanted to teleport. He could not teleport anything that was fixed into the ground and its bottom unseen. As for how far he could teleport, Alex didn't know and was about to find out. He once again summoned the stars of the space element and formed 4 star constellations. The 4 star constellations formed a large square before dropping to the ground around Alex. It was as if he was now standing on 4 glowing large formations. Blink, Alex muttered the spell's name and vanished into a silver flicker the next moment along with the star constellations. Alex appeared over 50 kilometers away from his previous location the next second, his body flicked into existence from a silver flash of light. Alex had set the direction of the spell toward Balon City, so he had moved in that direction after using Blink. He released his senses to determine how far he had gone. His expression turned awkward after realizing that he had only teleported a bit over 50 kilometers. The range of teleportation could not compare to the range that Void Walk covered. Alex took a breath as he remembered that 50 kilometers was quite a long distance and he shouldn't be upset. He would be able to reach Balon City if he blinked a few more times, so it wasn't too bad. After reaching this conclusion, Alex continued to move toward Balon City. Skill, Void Walk, activated. Alex arrived at Balon City a few seconds later. As usual, he directly appeared on the lowest floor of the Union building, surprising everyone there with his sudden appearance. Not long after he appeared, 3 people came down to receive him. One of them was Owen, while the other 2 were people who Alex had never seen before. He inspected them and couldn't help raising an eyebrow in surprise. The 2 of them were at the Master Mage rank. Likewise, the 2 people who had come with Owen were also inspecting Alex. He noticed a brief look of surprise flash across their eyes before they controlled their expressions. "Welcome, Mr. Chen. It's such a coincidence that you came today after not showing up for a few days. This is the branch leader, he returned today, and this is a representative from the Union Core Center that's located in the capital," Owen introduced with a smile. Alex raised an eyebrow under his mask as he looked at branch leader Clint. So this is the branch leader who had been away all this time, and this other person is from the Union Core Center. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Chen. I've heard so much about you and what you've been doing while I was away. I really appreciate the help you have been giving our branch. You've made more findings than us within just a few days. We're really ashamed." Branch leader Clint stepped forward and extended a hand with a smile on his face. He was wearing a cropped leather jacket with a black inner shirt and brown pants, 2 large boots covering his 2 feet. Alex stared at his outstretched hand before nodding silently. He didn't shake the other party's hands. Branch leader Clint revealed a strange expression as he looked at the other party while still trying to maintain his smile, his hand still stretched out. Seeing this, Owen was flustered and quickly whispered something to branch leader Clint's ear. A look of realization appeared on the man's face after Owen whispered to him as he stood straight. "So that's how it is, I understand. Please don't mind my action just now," he said with a small smile at Alex. Alex once again nodded in response, but this time, he wasn't silent as he added an okay with his nod. Come, let's go up. We have a lot to discuss." Branch leader Clint voiced out, inviting everyone to the elevator under the eyes of the many explorers. They were in a daze. Mr. Chen's reputation had grown in their hearts again. Chapter 114, starting the group went to the meeting room. Along the way, branch leader Clint properly introduced the representative from the Union Core Center to Alex. The man's name was William and he was a sub-elder at the Union Core Center in the capital. This had stunned Alex. A master mage was only a sub-elder? As expected of a force in the capital. Reaching the meeting room, branch leader Clint went to the point. He first used a moment to express his gratitude for Mr. Chen's decision to help them find the missing children and his willingness to offend the Dark Union. Branch leader Clint had been informed of the dark beasts and the kidnapper that Mr. Chen had brought by Owen and the others. This news had stunned him because they had not been able to find anything about the Dark Union even after weeks. After that, he proceeded to tell Mr. Chen about the upcoming auction and requested for Mr. Chen to be present. Due to the upcoming tournament, lots of people were coming into Balan City from outside and the city would soon be filled with visitors. This was why the Union branch decided to host the auction just before the tournament to get more participants, and many items would be submitted as well. Branch leader Clint suspected that the Dark Union might try to cause trouble during the auction, so he wanted Mr. Chen to be there. Alex informed him that he had already been invited as a guest appraiser by Lance, so he was going to be there. Branch leader Clint was happy with this response and secretly praised Lance in his mind. While they conversed, William was silently observing Mr. Chen with an unreadable expression. Alex noticed this and turned to him. "Is there a problem?" he asked. William's expression didn't change and he calmly said that he was curious about Mr. Chen's identity and why he always wore the white mask. Clint had come to the Union Core Center because he was worried about Mr. Chen's real identity and why an expert like him was in a small place like Balan City. After searching through the data of various experts with their center, they didn't find any information about anyone called Mr. Chen. Therefore, William had been sent back along with Clint to take a look. But after meeting Mr. Chen, he didn't find him that suspicious. The other party had even assisted this Union branch and had even offended the Dark Union. William came to the conclusion that Mr. Chen was a powerful mage who had learned of the Dark Union's activities somehow and had come to stop them without exposing himself. If that was the case, then he would definitely not want to reveal his true identity. Still, it was normal to be wary of a powerful person suddenly helping you for no reason, so he still tried to ask. As expected, Mr. Chen didn't respond after William showed curiosity towards his true identity and the matter was dropped. After chatting for a bit more, Alex revealed that he was originally here to sell beast corpses. Usually, only Owen would follow him to the room where he took out his goods, but William and Clint decided to tag along this time. Alex didn't mind this. They reached the room not long after and Alex went in alone. Clint and William wanted to follow him but were informed by Owen that Mr. Chen didn't like others being inside with him. The two didn't have any problem with this and waited outside. Some minutes later, Alex came out and informed them that he was done, and the trio went in. The moment they entered the room and their eyes saw what was inside, they were petrified on the spot from shock and didn't know how to react for some time. In front of them was a large pile of beast corpses. Their numbers exceeded 2,000. "What in the world?" Branch leader Clint exclaimed with wide eyes. More than an hour later, branch leader Clint walked into an office where William and Alex were already waiting, a black Union card in his hand which he stretched toward Alex. "Here's your card, Mr. Chen. A total of 150 million Zen has been added to your card." Branch leader Clint said with a smile as he handed the card to Alex. Alex took the card and kept it under his robe before putting it inside his storage ring. Now with the 60 million Zen that he had previously, he now had over 200 million Zen. 200 million Zen, the amount sounded so unbelievable, but it was real, everything was inside this card. Alex left soon after. Before leaving, he had asked for a way to contact the Union branch in case of a situation where he couldn't come personally. Although Clint was confused by this, he still gave Alex a contact card with the Union's emergency line on it. Alex kept the card before returning to the lowest floor of the building. He used Void Walk to return to the outskirts in the presence of everyone. After Alex left, branch leader Clint looked at William. "What do you think?" William glanced at him before disclosing the conclusion that he had reached. He speculated that the Dark Union might be up to something bigger than just kidnapping people, which was why an expert like Mr. Chen had come personally under disguise. Clint nodded with a serious expression. William's words made sense. Still, we have to remain vigilant. I'll relay everything back to the center and ask them to send support in case anything happens. Understood. By now, Alex had reached the outskirts. He came out of the gateway in a dark corner before returning the robe and mask to the system. After that, he started to walk home. Union officers still patrolled the place even after days of nothing happening. The people sent by the principal didn't leave as well. Alex considered this enough protection while he was away. He would take over the duty of protecting his family when he was around. Luckily, the Dark Union hadn't made any moves during the past few days and everywhere had been peaceful. Alex naturally found this to be strange, but there was nothing he could do then. However, things were about to change. He was going to attack those scumbags tonight. Alex reached home late. He had spent some time at the Union building, and it was already dark when he got home. His mother complained a bit before allowing him to go wash up and come down for dinner. Time passed slowly as Alex patiently waited. Soon, it was midnight. Alex stood up from his bed and stretched. He took out the robe and mask from the system and they appeared on his body. Alex checked and was certain that his family was asleep. He then used the void walk skill, and a gateway appeared in front of him, which led to a white space. A small grin formed on Alex's face as he entered the white space and left his room. When Alex came out from the other gateway, he had moved out from the outskirts and was on top of a very tall building in the center of Balon City. The gateway closed behind him as he deactivated the skill and took a moment to observe the view from here. This building was almost as tall as the Union building in the commercial district, and Alex could see half of the city at a glance. Street lamps lit up nearly every corner, but the top of the building where he stood was dark. Alex decided that this place was fine. If he cast Warden of the Rift here, people would probably not notice the glow from the star constellations. Only powerful mages who were sensitive to mana would feel the powerful mana function from this place. Without wasting time, Alex's eyes glowed with a silver-white glow that was as dazzling as the pale moon in the sky above Balon City as countless stars appeared around him before quickly forming 4-star constellations. Warden of the Rift. Alex voiced out eoinvel.com. Everything happened so quickly, from when the star appeared till when the star constellations disappeared after he called out the spell did not take more than a second. Naturally, it was nearly impossible for anyone to notice. However, what Alex didn't expect was that someone had actually sensed it when he had cast the spell. In a different part of the city, a little kid who seemed to be around 12 to 13 years old could be seen sitting on a couch with a large lollipop which he slowly sucked on. A few figures surrounded this kid, all of them had their heads lowered, and they didn't dare to make any sound. Suddenly, the kid suddenly stopped sucking on the candy in his hand. As he glanced in a direction, a childish smile appeared on his face. Hee, seems like you really picked a troublesome enemy this time. Let's go out for a walk. Chapter 115, Enemy Spotted. After casting the spell Warden of the Rift, the star constellations vanished and Alex's eyes began to glow brightly like stars as he stared down from the top of the building. He looked like a human statue with glowing eyes in the darkness above the city. His sight covered the entire city. Everything and everywhere was laid bare before him. He could feel and sense everything clearly. Alex had to admit that the city was huge, and it would take him time to locate what he wanted, so he decided to focus on the sensing and hearing abilities of the spell. Various sounds flooded his mind: voices, moving items, heartbeats, pets, and even passing wind. Alex began to filter the sounds and soon, he caught something. Sounds of faint heartbeats, soft murmurs, and sobbing of young children. Some were calling for their parents while others cried about how uncomfortable they were or being hungry. There! Alex exclaimed in his heart. His vision instantly shifted in the direction of the sounds. His sight crossed hundreds of meters around the city in less than a second as a tall building entered his view. At a glance, the building looked like a normal structure and wasn't any different from the others in the area. Each floor was a rented store where different items were sold. Alex didn't stop there. As his gaze continued to move, he felt a thick layer of squirming mana underneath this building. It was a formation. From the nature of the mana inside this formation, Alex was certain that it was a formation meant to ward off any form of detection. Sadly, this formation was not enough to block off his spell, as Alex's gaze easily penetrated through the formation and came to an underground section below the building. Alex's gaze continued to travel down. He was surprised at how deep the underground part of this building was. It was just as huge as the main building above. So this was where they were hiding, Alex mumbled to himself with a smirk as his gaze continued to travel. Soon, he saw a huge platform with countless glass cells. In each glass cell was a child between the ages of 7 and 17, some of them were the same age as Alex. "Found you," Alex said to himself as he retracted his gaze. He didn't end the spell immediately. He began to wander the underground floors in search of members of the Dark Union. Alex found over 100 people, some were in yellow robes, and some were in casual clothes. After a moment of inspection, Alex was left confused. All the people he had seen were only core mages at best. This couldn't be the full force of the Dark Union. Some were not present. Alex hesitated. Should he carry out his plan now or wait for the others to return before acting? After a brief moment of thinking, Alex decided that he would act now. He couldn't let those kids suffer any longer after he already found them. As for the missing members of the Dark Union, he would look for them later. After coming to a decision, Alex continued to wander the underground structure. He found a few dark beasts and more people locked up in even worse cells. He also saw some people committing unholy acts to some women, ignoring their pleas and struggles. It was a disturbing sight and Alex had to move his gaze away. His sight returned to the building above the ground to also inspect it. There were even more people here than there were underground, but Alex knew for a fact that not all of them were members of the Dark Union. Some were honest traders who were here to sell and were not aware of what was going on underground. They probably didn't even know that there was an underground structure beneath the building. Of course, this was only Alex's thoughts and he wasn't entirely certain. However, he had an idea. Alex ended the spell, and his eyes returned to normal as the glow died out. Alex wasn't surprised that more than half of his mana had been used up after using the spell for so long, since the same thing had happened the previous time he used the spell outside the border. Thanks to the system, it only took a few moments for him to restore his mana almost fully. After replenishing his mana, Alex activated the Void Walk skill. His view turned into a bird-like view over the city, and he picked a place for the second gateway to form. It was inside the Rising Wave Group building. Alex's gaze returned to normal, and a gateway tore open in front of him, which he stepped through and entered the white space. A few seconds later, Alex reached the second gateway and stepped out of it before ending the skill. He saw Simon and a few members of the Rising Wave Group in the living room. All of them were just chilling since they had nothing important to do. They were all frightened when someone suddenly appeared in front of them, and they all jumped up to their feet with stars of various colors forming around them, ready to cast spells. But their expressions of fright soon turned to astonishment when they realized that it was Mr. Chen. Their bodies stiffened for a few seconds before they recovered and hastily retracted their stars. Trying to launch spells at Mr. Chen, wasn't that the same thing as signing a death wish? "MMR Chen, what brings you here?" Simon stuttered as he looked at Mr. Chen, still shocked. He was about to ask if he should go and call Mia since the other party was probably here for their leader, but Mr. Chen spoke next. "Give me your phone," Alex stated in a flat tone. "Simon and the others." "Phone?" Mr. Chen came here for Simon's phone. Was this theft? Although Simon was confused, he still obediently handed over his phone to Mr. Chen. If his phone was what Mr. Chen wanted, then he would happily give it, he could always buy another one. Receiving the phone, the contact card that Clint had given him earlier appeared in his other hand. Alex calmly copied the numbers before calling. This was why he had come here. He wanted to use someone's phone to contact the Union and have them surround the building with the underground structure while he went down to save the children and take care of the members of the Union. Since he couldn't identify who was a part of the Dark Union besides those underground, he would leave the investigation to the Union. He couldn't use his phone to make such a call, right? Soon, the line connected and a voice came out from the other side. It was branch leader Clint's voice. Alex was briefly stunned when he realized that the man had given him his contact line but later felt it was expected. After all, Mr. Chen wasn't a random person. "Hello, who is this?" Clint's voice sounded through the phone. "Is there a way to identify members of the Dark Union?" was the first thing that Alex asked. "Mr. Chen? I didn't expect you to call so soon." "Yes, there's a way to identify them. The members of the Dark Union have the tattoo of a twin-headed snake on their left chest, but it's usually invisible and can only be seen after infusing mana into the place." Clint's surprised voice sounded before explaining things to Alex. "Is that so? Good." Alex didn't waste any more time and went straight to the point. He told Clint the party of Balon City where the building was located and the name of the building before telling him to gather officers of the Union and to surround the building. He was to check every single person inside the building before letting them out. "Mr. Chen, are you saying this because?" Clint's voice sounded but was cut off by Alex. "Yes, that's the base of the Dark Union and where the missing children are being kept. I'll be there before you come. Just take care of checking those in the building, I'll handle the rest." Alex ordered before ending the call, not letting Clint say anything else. Simon and the others watched with speechless expressions as Mr. Chen made the call. They were shocked, so Mr. Chen came just to make a call, and he had found the hideout of the Dark Union in Balon City? How shocking! After ending the call, Alex tossed the phone to Simon before turning around. He activated Void Walk already and stepped into the gateway, but to Simon and the others, Mr. Chen turned around and vanished into thin air. All of them stood petrified for a long time, unable to process everything that just happened before them. In the Union building, branch leader Clint dropped his phone with a serious expression on his face. It just happened to be that he was in the meeting room with William, Owen, Sylvia, and the others present. All of them had stunned expressions on their faces as they stared at branch leader Clint. They had heard everything that Mr. Chen had said and couldn't help but find it unbelievable. But this was Mr. Chen, it definitely wasn't a prank. Clint stood up and looked at everyone. He said in a deep voice, "Let's move." Chapter 116, First Blood. Double kill. When Alex stepped out from the white space of the skill, he was right in front of the building where the members of the Dark Union were staying underground. He glanced at the few people outside the building, all of whom were normal people, and they didn't notice Alex's appearance. Alex retracted his gaze and stopped paying attention to them. He wasn't here for them anyway. He silently activated the Void Walk skill and moved underground. The formation wasn't able to stop him. Alex appeared in a large room that looked like a storage room. A young man who appeared to be in his early 20s just happened to walk into the room and immediately spotted Alex. "Huh? Who are you? Why haven't I seen you before?" the young man asked as he walked toward Alex. Alex remained silent as he stared at the other party. "Can't you hear me? What are you doing here?" the young man continued to ask as he approached Alex. But his steps suddenly stopped after getting a bit close, and a frightened look appeared on his face as he stared at the white mask on Alex's face. "Why, you are Mr. Chen!" the young man exclaimed in horror after realizing who Alex was. Alex wasn't surprised that the other party had recognized him. His eyes flashed with a cold glint and he dashed toward the other party with shocking speed. Tack! Alex slammed the side of his palm against the side of the other party's head. knocking him out instantly. The young man was about to scream, but Mr. Chen had suddenly appeared beside him, and everywhere turned dark. Watching the unconscious body of the young man on the ground, Alex struggled to decide if he should kill him or hand him over to the Union later. People of the Dark Union were ruthless and evil, they had no issues with killing others and even turned people into dark beasts. Alex recalled that they had tried to take his sister away before, and they didn't just attempt to do this once. The thought of what they might do to his sister had they managed to capture her made his eyes turn cold as ice behind his mask. Without another moment of hesitation, stars appeared around Alex. Space bullet. Bang. A hole was instantly blasted through the body of the young man who was still unconscious, killing him instantly. His ribcage had been shattered and his heart destroyed as a hole formed beneath him. Blood splattered around, but Alex's expression didn't change in the slightest as he looked at this scene. Anyone who tried to harm his family had to pay the price. After killing the young man, Alex left the storage room. He still remembered how the layout of the underground was after observing through the Warden of the Rift spell and knew where the members of the Dark Union were. The next place that Alex went was a large chamber with a round pool in the middle. Strange writings and runes were imprinted on the walls and floor of this chamber with what Alex suspected was black ink. As for the pool, it was filled with red-colored liquid that wasn't as thick as blood but was too thick to be just colored water. Alex could feel the chaotic mana coming from the pool and could see the formation that was drawn at the bottom of the pool. Beside the pool stood 3 people in yellow robes with hoods covering their faces, 2 hefty men in normal clothes, and 7 people who were chained up and looked battered. Some of them were begging to be released while others were unconscious. "Shut up, you should be grateful to us. We are allowing you to pay for your sins." One of the hefty men barked before pushing a shirtless man into the pool. Splash! The man fell into the pool while screaming. He was still tied up, so immediately he fell into the pool, his body sank, and his voice couldn't be heard anymore. The next moment, the formation at the bottom of the pool lit up and the mana inside the pool began to surge. Next, the liquid in the pool began to boil and form popping bubbles. It looked like a pool of boiling blood. Alex. From where he stood, Alex had an expression of disbelief under his mask as he watched the man inside the pool transform into a dark beast. So this was the ritual used to transform people into dark beasts. Alex thought to himself and silently apologized to the man inside the pool for not helping him. After a while, the figure in the pool broke free from its restraints and jumped out. Thud. Its feet landed on the side of the pool, and its red eyes stared around without any emotion. It was just like the other dark beasts that Alex had seen. Abnormally long arms, a hairy body, red eyes, and a twisted expression on its face, with the man's formal appearance retained a bit. The other people who were still in chains gasped in horror when they saw what the man had become. Their eyes looked like they were about to pop out of their sockets. "Ha ha ha, good, good. Now throw all of them in." One of the yellow-robed people laughed and ordered the 2 hefty men to toss the remaining 6 people into the pool. Upon hearing this, those who were still conscious among the 6 began to beg fiercely and some even tried to escape. But what could they do when they were chained up and 2 large men were guarding them? Besides, they were in an underground facility and the figures in yellow robes were all core mages. It was impossible to escape. The 2 hefty men easily grabbed the struggling people and dragged them toward the pool. Just before they could throw them in, a voice sounded beside them. "Hold on a minute." A low voice sounded. Everyone paused and looked over. They saw a robed figure standing not far away, a white mask blocking his face. Who are you?" one of the robed figures asked after observing Alex. Alex didn't respond and kept walking toward them. "Can't you speak? You must be new, but that's not how the uniform of a black robe is supposed to be. Don't interrupt our fun." Another of them waved their hand lazily, asking Alex to go away. But Alex kept walking toward them. At this moment, the last yellow robe seemed to have realized something and staggered backwards. He stuttered a bit before managing to say, Isn't that Mr. Chen?" Upon hearing this, the bodies of the other two yellow robes jerked and they quickly moved back. "Attack him!" one of the yellow robes shouted, and a faint glow could be seen under his robe. The eyes of the dark beast that had been standing in the corner flashed with a bright red light upon receiving the order and immediately charged toward Alex. At the same time, two of the yellow robes also summoned their spells and wanted to attack. "Are you crazy? Mr. Chen is a high-level threat, we are supposed to run whenever we see him." The last yellow robe shouted in panic and without waiting for his companions, turned around and fled. But how would Alex allow him to escape? His eyes flashed with a purple light as purple stars appeared around him. Lightning strike. Two star patterns formed above Alex at a breakneck speed, and a thin purple lightning thread shot out toward the fleeing yellow robe. Bam! Iobnovlo_com The lightning struck the figure before he could even take 5 steps. A pained scream sounded, but it was short as the figure fell to the ground with smoke rising out from his body. He was dead. At the same time, the dark beast reached Alex and attacked him with its long arms and sharp nails. Alex was already familiar with the dark beasts, and he calmly grabbed the hand of the beast and pulled it toward him before slapping it across the face hard. The slap was so hard that the neck of the beast snapped and dangled on the side. It was dead. Silence. The chained figures, the two yellow robes, and the two hefty men stared at Alex with a pin-drop silence. They were startled as everything had happened too fast. They didn't even get to see all of his actions clearly. Alex tossed the corpse of the dark beast to the side before returning his gaze to the people in front of him. Everyone flinched when they felt Alex's gaze on them, and they stood frozen in place, not knowing what to do. But their state of mind didn't concern Alex. Whoosh! Alex disappeared and appeared beside the two yellow robes the next moment like a ghost. Their eyes were unable to keep up with his speed. The two yellow robes were spooked to see Alex suddenly appearing beside them. They didn't even get the chance to move before they found themselves flying through the air. "Go for a swim." The hoarse voice of Mr. Chen sounded in their ears. The two of them were confused by what Alex meant and looked below them. Below them was the large boiling pool. Chapter 117, Team Wipeout, LOL, Splash. The two yellow robes dropped into the large pool with heavy splashes and instantly sank into it. It was as if an invisible suction force had dragged them below the moment they dropped into the water. The scene from earlier occurred again as the pool lit up and the two figures inside began to change. This scene shocked the two hefty men and the people in chains. Without thinking whether they could escape or not, the two hefty men turned around and bolted away. But could they really escape when even core mages were helpless? They were just ordinary humans. Telekinesis, Alex called out softly as a star constellation formed around him. His eyes lit up with a silver-white glow behind his mask as he stared at the two men. The next moment, their bodies froze in place and they were lifted off the ground. Alex brought the two of them back and made them hover above the pool. The faces of the two men were hideous as they cried for Alex not to kill them. Their cries startled the people in chains. Alex didn't let them make noise for long before dropping them into the pool as well. "I'm letting you pay for your sins, you should be grateful," Alex said to them as they fell into the pool. Those were the words that one of them had said to the shirtless man previously before pushing him in. The faces of the two men flashed with horror at the last second before their sights were blurred by the liquid of the pool. Alex stood there like a statue and watched the ritual play out and the pool boil. He patiently watched how the 4 people in the pool transformed from humans to dark beasts. After a few seconds, 4 dark figures jumped out of the water and landed on the other side of the pool. The 4 people had now become dark beasts with twisted human-like expressions. Alex guessed that the ritual should be very painful for their expressions to remain frozen like that. The formation or the liquid in the pool must be what was causing them the pain. For some reason, the mark to control the dark beasts didn't appear on Alex's body after the 4 dark beasts came out. This meant that the dark beasts were ownerless and couldn't be controlled by anyone. But Alex wasn't bothered by this. He had no intentions of keeping dark beasts. Since they were not under the control of anyone, the dark beasts were currently no different from ordinary magic beasts. Their red eyes flashed with a sharp glint as a heavy murderous aura rose from their bodies. They charged toward Alex and the 6 people in chains, their long arms stretching out and their mouths revealing sets of brown sharp teeth. The scene of watching such hideous creatures charge at them made those who were still conscious scream in panic, but they couldn't move since they were bound and could only watch with horrified eyes. Space bullets. But before the dark beasts could reach either Alex or the 6 people, Alex cast a spell and whistling sounds tore through the air. The next moment, invisible bullets pierced through the bodies of the dark beasts while still in mid-air, blood gushing into the air. Plop! The dark beasts dropped to the ground, bloody holes could be seen over their bodies and blood quickly gathered underneath them. They were dead. The chained people stared at the dead dark beasts with frightened faces, but they weren't screaming anymore. Some of them were just trembling from fear or pain. Their heads turned swiftly when they saw Alex walking toward them and their expressions revealed fear. This person had easily killed the people who had captured them and wanted to throw them into the pool. Although Alex's actions had saved them, they didn't know his intention and were naturally afraid. Alex stopped after walking for a bit and stood in front of the 6 people who were sitting on the ground. He stared down at them, but all they could see was his white mask. "What's your connection to the Dark Union?" Alex asked. Those who were still conscious shuddered upon hearing his voice and didn't dare to speak out of fear. "Speak," Alex said as lightning cracked around his fingers, "or die like the others." The people were startled and immediately spoke up. Turned out that they were normal people who were captured after falling out with members of the Dark Union. Some had borrowed money without knowing that they were taking money from a member of the Dark Union and had been captured after being unable to pay back. Another person had an argument with a member of the Dark Union and was kidnapped later that night. A woman had rejected the advance of a middle-aged man, but didn't know that he was a part of the Dark Union. She had been brought here afterwards and was about to be tossed into the pool after they had repeatedly slept with her. Someone happened to know the shirtless man who had been pushed into the pool earlier and told Alex that the man was brought here just because he stopped a member of the Dark Union from harassing his young daughter. Although the other person was a mage, the father had been fearless and defended his teenage daughter because the other party was saying inappropriate things to her. Later that day, the man had gone missing. After listening to all of them, a new flame of rage formed in Alex's heart. He thought that he had understood just how disgusting the Dark Union and its members were, but it seems like they were even more rotten than he imagined. Capturing people and turning them into dark beasts for such reasons, could anyone be even more unreasonable? Even for the debtors, taking their properties or having them work for their debts would be better. Who deserved to become dark beasts just because they were unable to repay their debts on time? If they had the money in the first place, would they come for a loan? Feweebnovlo.com. Anyways, that wasn't what was important at the moment. Alex wanted to kill every member of the Dark Union in this underground structure. And he was going to do it. Without saying anything else, Alex broke the chains that were used to bind the people with a wave of his hand. "Stay here, I'll come get you after I'm done," Alex said before turning around and walking toward the door. Yes, we'll stay here. "Thank you, Savior. Thank you so much." After being freed by Alex, the people thanked him with tears in their eyes. They were very sincere because they thought it was over for them just a while ago. Because of this, none of them realized that Alex had been using spells of 2 different elements while dealing with the people who had captured them. Alex had also thought of this, but he couldn't kill them to keep his secret, right? Besides, considering what they had gone through, no one would believe them if they told anyone that he had 2 elements. It was unheard of for a mage to have 2 elements, and they would be seen as crazy people. Everyone would easily conclude that their experience had affected their brains. Alex left the chamber and moved to another place. The layout of the underground structure had been saved to his memory after he saw it through the spell. There were more than one chamber in the underground structure. The Dark Union had built multiple pools for creating dark beasts for reasons that Alex didn't know. But the reason didn't really matter to him either. He reached a section that was the living area for members of the Dark Union. Spacious rooms with large beds could be found here. This was also where Alex had seen some people forcing themselves on some girls. He walked toward the first door and kicked it open. Bam! The door flew open with force and crashed into the other end of the room, startling the people inside. They all looked with curious faces as a robed figure with a white mask walked in. Inside, Alex saw a naked man who looked to be in his late 40s and some young girls who were tied up with ropes on the large bed. The girls were also naked and were tied up in disgraceful positions, their butts sticking out and their hands tied behind their backs. Their mouths were covered with gags, and their faces showed painful expressions as tears streamed down their eyes. Their bodies were covered in red marks as if they had been flogged repeatedly, and blood almost came out. Each of them had a dildo inserted into their privates while a butt plug stuck into their buttholes. It was a very hardcore sight. Alex's gaze shifted away from the girls and moved over to the man in the corner who held a whip in his right hand. The anger in his chest didn't let him have any improper thoughts after seeing the girls, as killing intent gushed out from his eyes like flames. "Yuarmmr Chen." The man stuttered with a horrified face as he stared at Alex's mask. He recognized Alex at a glance. Alex wasn't surprised by this since the other yellow robes had recognized him as well. This person was a core mage, so it should be expected. Lightning Strike. Chapter 118, The Union's Investigation. Two purple star patterns swiftly formed above Alex's head and a thin lightning thread shot out and struck the middle-aged man's chest. Bam! The man was knocked off the bed by the lightning strike. His body flew through the air and slammed into the wall on the side of the room before dropping to the ground. The lightning had created a hole in his chest, but not a single drop of blood came out from the large wound, as everything had been dried up by the lightning. Remnants of the lightning strike cracked around the man's body as it released the stench of burnt meat through the room. Alex shifted his gaze away from the body of the man and approached the bed. The girls' bodies flinched when they saw him coming toward them, and they made muffled sounds while trying to move their bodies. Looks of fear could be seen on their faces as they stared at Alex's mask. Ignoring this, Alex reached the bed and waved his right hand. A small burst of mana was released and all the restraints on the girls instantly fell off. After doing this, he didn't delay for another moment and started walking toward the broken door. The girls were stunned when they realized what had happened. This scary person had saved them, so he wasn't here to abuse them as well? The expressions on the faces of the girls were frozen with disbelief as their minds turned blank for a bit. It wasn't until Alex was about to leave the room that they came back to their senses. And as if planned beforehand, the three girls who Alex had just saved climbed out from the bed and rushed toward Alex, ignoring that they were naked and injured. Their legs wobbled as they tried their best to run. "Please, take us with you. Don't leave us here." Alex had stopped and turned around to see what was happening when he heard the hurried but unsteady footsteps, which allowed the girls to reach him. They immediately dropped in front of him and grabbed onto his robe while crying for him to take them along. Even if they had been saved from that evil person, they were still afraid because they were in a place that they didn't know and could run into companions of that man. This masked person had saved them without trying to do anything to them. It was only natural for them to believe that they would be safer if they followed him. Alex stared down at the three girls. Their bodies covered in scars, bloody wounds, and their hands trembling as they held onto his robe. He could see the desperation in their eyes as they looked at him. They didn't care if he was a bad person or not, all that mattered was that he had willingly saved them, so they wanted to follow him for their safety. "Cover yourself first," Alex voiced out after a moment of silence. A liberated look instantly appeared on the faces of the three girls after they heard Alex's words. They almost jumped from joy, if not that their bodies were too weak for such actions. They could only thank Alex sincerely before looking for pieces of fabric in the room to cover their nakedness. After that, Alex led them out of the room and into the hallway of the living quarters. Alex then told them to go wait for him with the others he had saved in the pool chamber. He gave them directions to the chamber before asking them to leave. The expressions of the girls instantly became anxious as they thought that Alex didn't want them to follow him, they didn't want to part ways with him yet. They immediately started to beg and promised not to slow him down or get in his way. Alex was speechless but didn't blame them. People behaved strangely when their lives were in danger. Alex told them that he had saved others as well and they were in the chamber waiting for him. He was going to bring all of them out after he was done with what he needed to do here, and he couldn't bring them with him while doing that. The reason he allowed the girls to return to the pool chamber by themselves was that he was sure they wouldn't encounter any member of the Dark Union. The underground structure was built in such a way that anyone who wanted to enter the chamber must come across Alex, who was descending deeper down the structure. The girls still hesitated even after hearing this but left eventually and headed for the pool chamber. After managing to get the girls to leave, Alex continued to the next room and kicked the door open as well. Lightning strike. Alex killed the person inside without giving them any chance to explain themselves. Coming out of the room, he was about to move to the next room when 6 people appeared in front of him. The 6 were all mages, 2 were at the core rank while the rest were at the adept mage rank. It appears that they were going to the pool chamber and had run into Alex. A black robe. One of them voiced out upon seeing Alex. Why's his black robe different, and why does he wear a mask? Another one added as they observed Alex. Hey? Isn't that the same outfit that Mr. Chen is always seen in? Mr. Chen? How could Mr. Chen possibly find this place? It's impossible. Hey, are you deaf? Who are you and what are you doing here? Alex watched the 6 people debate among themselves before one of them asked him a question. Instead of replying, 2 star patterns appeared in front of Alex. Silver-white star patterns. Space bullets, Alex mumbled softly. The 6 people in front of Alex revealed startled expressions upon seeing the 2 silver-white star patterns. The space element? Did they say that Mr. Chen had the lightning element? But that was all they had time to think about before the invisible space bullets pierced their bodies and created larger holes while throwing them back. Their bodies crashed into the floor in the distance and painted the hallway with blood. Alex continued moving. In a few minutes, he had gone to every room in this area and killed all the members of the Dark Union he came across and saved some people as well. He ordered all of the people he had rescued to go wait for him in the pool chamber before continuing with his killing spree. Just like that, Ake went deeper down the underground structure and caused a bloodbath whenever he encountered members of the Dark Union. None of them were his match and were unable to fight back. Meanwhile, outside, branch leader Clint had gathered many explorers and officers of the Union to surround the building after receiving the call from Mr. Chen. The movements of so many mages and officers of the Union had naturally attracted the attention of many people, and different explorer groups had come to see what was happening. Members of the Rising Wave group had come as well. Currently, over 100 people and tens of armored trucks surround the building that Alex had reported. Officers wore protective vests and held magic weapons in their hands, ready for combat. Mages in Union uniforms stood around the building with serious expressions and vigilant gazes. Clint, William, as well as the 2 elders and 3 sub-elders of the Union branch, were present as well, and they stood at the forefront, which was closer to the building. The people and members of the various explorer groups who had come to see what was going on watched from a distance. Clint's loud voice echoed through the night as he ordered everyone inside the building to start coming out one after the other. He had already explained that there was an investigation going on to look for a particular set of people and that the people in the building were to cooperate, or else the Union would use force. Many people in the building were naturally confused as to what was happening, but still complied. They had nothing to be afraid of since they believed that they were not the target of the investigation. But things quickly changed after the investigation started and people started coming out. The investigation was carried out by two teams, one was led by Owen and other male members of the union while the other team was led by Sylvia and some female mages. Branch leader Clint and Elder William observed from the side. The women went to Sylvia's team while the men went to Owen's team. The method of investigation was simple. When someone came to either of the team, Sylvia or Owen would place one of their palms on their chest and gently release their mana. After nothing happened, the person would be allowed to leave the encirclement of the union and go stand with the people watching from afar. A few people were checked, and someone finally started a commotion. What is the meaning of this nonsense? This is no different from sexual assault. The union is too much and I won't agree to be treated like this. Chapter 119, Members of the Dark Union. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked in the direction of the voice. They saw that it was a woman in an exquisite evening dress with short curly hair and thick makeup on her face. Behind her were three people, two men and one other woman. They seemed to be her escorts and attendants as they were dressed for such duties. The woman walked out of the building with a fuming face, her three subordinates behind her. Clint's eyes narrowed as he looked at the woman. This person was a core mage, but her escorts were non-mages. Why would a mage need such weak escorts? Well, that wasn't important. What was important was that the woman was trying to leave as she walked in the direction of some Union officers. All of the officers in that area immediately pointed their weapons at the four of them, clearly prepared to shoot if they came any closer. I strongly advise you to cooperate with the investigation. Things don't have to go badly. Clint's voice sounded from the side as he walked toward the woman and her escorts with his hands in his pockets. Seeing him approach, the two escorts immediately got in front of the woman as if to protect her. Branch leader, what is the meaning of this harassment? I only came here to get something for the first time, but you brought your people to start touching people as you like. Don't even think about laying a finger on me. You know my husband, he won't let this go easily. The woman said with a strong tone, but Clint's expression remained unchanged. He glanced at Sylvia and nodded his head for her to come over. Sylvia saw this and started walking toward them. The face of the woman twisted when she saw this and she gritted her teeth. She appeared desperate for some reason. Clint's eyes narrowed even further when he saw this. Even if your husband were here, he'll still be investigated by us, he said coldly. At this moment, more and more people started to come out of the building and voice out their dissatisfaction with what the union was doing. They supported the woman with thick makeup and didn't want to be touched either. They started yelling and pointing at the officers who had surrounded the building. They wanted to leave without getting checked as the method of checking didn't sit well with them. Seeing the commotion that had broken out, the woman with thick makeup grinned secretly behind her two escorts. See? I'm not the only one who thinks this is unreasonable. You'd better let us leave before you disgrace yourselves. Lots of people have come from other cities because of the approaching tournament and your auction, but this is how you plan to treat them? She stated, further strengthening the dissatisfaction of the others. They even began to approach the members of the union and tried forcing their way through. The people who had come to see what was going on watched from outside with different expressions, and everyone had a different feeling toward what was going on. The union had only said that they were looking for a set of people, but hadn't given full details. This led some people to support the woman with thick makeup and others who didn't want to cooperate with the investigation, while others scolded them. Why cause a scene if you are truly innocent? Just get checked to prove yourself. Members of the Rising Wave group watched with a complicated expression. They knew what was going on because of Mr. Chen coming to their base earlier. But where was Mr. Chen now? The investigation would definitely go smoothly if he were here. Hey! Stay back or I'll shoot. Don't come any closer, stay back. What? Are you going to shoot me with that toy? I'm a core mage. Do you think an ordinary person like you can hit me? What nonsense, even the union branch in my city won't be so bold. I just came here and this is the welcome I get? No wonder Balan City is still trash. This is unfair. If you're looking for something, why check only us? Why don't we check you people too? The place quickly turned chaotic as the members of the union and the people from the building started to yell at each other. It looked like a fight was going to break out any time soon. Just when it looked like hell was about to break loose, a powerful burst of mana erupted from the center of the crowd. Boom! A powerful gust of wind swept in all directions, startling everyone. They all stopped and looked at the source. Even the members of the union were surprised to see that it was William. A master rank mage. Those who were arguing with the union officers were shocked by the powerful aura from William. They all looked at him without making a sound. Good, this is quiet enough. William looked around and nodded in satisfaction before adding. We have enough evidence to believe that there are members of the Dark Union hiding here, and that is the sole purpose for this search. Cooperate and leave peacefully or resist and become a prime suspect. We won't hesitate to use force on you. William said bluntly as his sharp gaze swept across the faces of the people who were causing trouble. Most of them flinched and stepped back in fear while others were frozen with shock. The Dark Union. Many of them knew about the Dark Union, and they were horrified to hear that they had been in the same building with members of that evil group. Immediately, the majority of them gave up on the thought of resisting the investigation. They wanted the members of the Dark Union to be fished out. Clint looked at William with a gratified look before turning back to the woman with thick makeup. Are you ready to cooperate now? He asked. The lips of the woman twitched when she heard this. She was silent for a bit before speaking out. What evidence do you have? Show us. Clint paused after hearing this. His silence lasted for a few seconds before he turned to face some explorers of the Union. They were all in the core mage rank. Arrest her, he ordered. The expression on the woman's face turned hideous when she heard this. Others were also shocked. What is the meaning of this? Why arrest me? She raged. Refusing to cooperate with the investigation too many times, we have all reasons to believe that you are a part of the Dark Union. Don't worry, we'll carry out the investigation in private after arresting you to further prove if you are innocent or not, Clint replied. The Union explorers were already moving toward the woman. Seeing this, the woman's face twisted and she took some steps backwards. She suddenly turned around and bolted with full speed. Don't let her escape, Clint ordered, and the Union explorers immediately chased after the woman. Stay away from me, the woman shouted and waved her hands. Suddenly, two dark figures shot out from nowhere and attacked the Union explorers. They were dark beasts. The appearance of the dark beasts shocked everyone present. The Union explorers immediately reacted and dodged the long arms of the dark beasts. That settles it, she's a part of the Dark Union. Clint's eyes flashed. William, stay here while I go after her, Clint said to William before going after the woman. The Union explorers were currently dealing with the dark beasts and couldn't continue the chase. William nodded and turned to face some officers. He ordered them to arrest the three subordinates of the woman. The place was suddenly thrown into chaos. It turned out it wasn't just the woman with thick makeup. Several people tried to break away and escape as well. Some were mages while others were normal people. They were all members of the Dark Union who wanted to use the confusion and chaos to escape, but William quickly spotted them and passed others for the Union explorers to go after them. To make matters worse for the members of the Dark Union, the different explorer groups that had come to watch also joined hands to chase after them. Many of them naturally knew about the Dark Union and their evil ways, and they were widely hated. Soon, spells were flying through the air as a fighter broke out, and several dark beasts were also summoned by various members of the Dark Union. While the clash was going on above, underground, Alex had finally reached the lowest floor of the underground structure where the children were being kept. He was currently staring down at the large platform from the observation room, a large glass window in front of him. Along the way, Alex had lost count of how many members of the Dark Union he had killed. This included dark beasts as well. Alex felt a bit regretful that he didn't earn EXP from killing dark beasts because he had killed almost 100 dark beasts on his way here. They were crawling all over the place. Chapter 120, Calm. Rescued. Besides dealing with the members of the Dark Union, Alex had rescued over 40 people held captive by the Dark Union. He had also found more reasons to despise the Dark Union while roaming the place. Alex had come across several rooms where he had almost thrown up at the sight he met. Thankfully, he had good control over his body and could remain calm, but that didn't stop his hate for the Dark Union from increasing. Mangled bodies, bones, pieces of flesh and body parts, and guts that had almost rotted completely and released an awful stench that was enough to knock the light out of someone. The scene was like something cut right out of a horror movie. And the reason for this was because the Dark Union fed the dark beasts with people that they captured, and they were eaten alive. All Alex could do was say a silent prayer for these corpses for them to have a good next life. Back to the present. Alex stared down from the observation room. He was looking at the children on the platform. Only a few of them were awake, the others were either sleeping or had passed out. He could see light wounds on their bodies and a few bruises. They all looked very miserable. Luckily, all of them were alive. Alex proceeded to tap his finger on the glass window of the observation room. A low, dull sound was heard when his finger made contact, but nothing happened afterwards. Alex lifted an eyebrow, surprised. He had expected the glass to shatter after tapping it with his finger, but it turned out the glass wasn't ordinary. Alex decided to use more force and tap the glass window with more strength, but it still didn't shatter. Alex. Just how hard was this glass? Alex still didn't give up and increased his strength as he threw a punch at the glass. Shatter. The glass was unable to remain standing after taking Alex's punch and instantly shattered into countless fragments that flew through the air and scattered into the platform below. The commotion startled the children below. They all looked up at the rain of glass fragments with horror on their faces. Many closed their eyes while screaming, while others pressed their bodies together in a corner of their glass prisons. The glass fragments fell soon after, dropping on top of the numerous glass prisons where the children were held and scattering across the place. Thankfully, the glass prisons were equally resilient and protected the children from sustaining any injuries. OPPs. Alex thought to himself that the glass fragments scattering all over the platform weren't part of his plan. Thankfully, no one was injured as a result of his action. After everywhere settled, Alex jumped down from the observation room and landed lightly on the platform. All eyes immediately turned to him. Out of nowhere, cries of younger children rang through the platform as they called for their parents, while the older ones stared at Alex with nervous and fearful expressions. They thought that Alex was one of the people who had kidnapped them. Alex didn't say anything to the kids right away. He first scanned their faces as if looking for someone. The platform that the children were kept in was flat, and the glass prisons were like transparent pillars. He could see every single one of them at a glance. Soon, Alex spotted who he was looking for. A young girl of about 8 years old, with short orange hair that was now covered in dirt, and light bruises on her small arms. The clothes of the kid looked ragged as she sat on the ground and cried for her father. One could see that 2 of her front upper teeth were missing. It was Dan's daughter. Alex still remembered her face from the picture that Dan had shown him. A bitter smile formed on Alex's face as he looked at the kid. Her current state looked so different from the happy little girl in the picture that Dan had shown him. Damn Dark Union. Alex slowly approached the glass prison of the girl and went to one knee in front of her, staring at the girl through the glass. The little girl noticed him and began to cry even harder as she tried moving to the other end of her prison. "Don't be scared, I know your father, he sent me to come get you," Alex said softly. The girl immediately stopped crying upon hearing this and looked at Alex. His mask still made her fearful, but she still approached him. "Do you really know my daddy?" she asked, blinking her cute round eyes. Yes, he's dealing with something outside. Let's go meet him. Alex replied. A look of joy immediately appeared on the little girl's face when she heard this, and she nodded her head fiercely like a hen pecking rice, her large eyes turned watery, and she looked like she was about to cry. Listening to the interaction between Alex and the little girl, the other children started to call out for Alex to help them go out as well. Alex didn't reply and directly started releasing the children out of their prisons. He didn't plan on leaving any of them behind. While he freed the children, Alex checked the situation outside. The Union had gotten things under control. The members of the Dark Union had been subdued after minutes of fighting and all of the Dark Beasts had been killed. The explorer groups and people from the Union outnumbered those from the Dark Union, so they couldn't escape. After arresting them, Union officers had placed restraining cuffs on them before taking them away. In the meantime, the injured were being attended to. It was inevitable for wounded to not appear in such a clash. Luckily no one had died, so it was acceptable. Clint had also returned after capturing the woman with thick makeup, and she had been taken away to the Union building as well. Alex returned his focus to the children after observing for a while. After releasing all of them from their prisons, he asked them to gather around him. The children were very obedient and stood around Alex. His eyes turned silver white the next moment as stars appeared under their feet. This scene startled the children. They looked around nervously but didn't run. 4-star constellations were quickly formed before Alex muttered. Blink. Alex disappeared into a flicker of silver light along with the children right after he called the name of the spell. Moments later, in a pool chamber, numerous people could be seen sitting around with different expressions on their faces. They were people whom Alex had rescued and were waiting for him here. At this moment, a flash of silver light gleamed inside the chamber. It was brief and had disappeared almost instantly and was barely noticeable. Suddenly, the people inside the chamber realized that an additional group of people had appeared in the chamber. They were shocked and quickly looked over, only to discover that it was Alex and a large group of children. The people who were in the chamber earlier all stared at Alex with bewildered expressions. They couldn't imagine how he had suddenly appeared with such a large group of children. The children were also shocked as to how they had suddenly appeared in this place. Their eyes scanned the adults with nervous looks before returning to Alex, who was standing beside the little girl with orange hair. Alex didn't wait for them to speak and pointed at the door that led out of the underground structure. He told them that if they passed the door, they would be able to go out and the people from the Union would receive them outside. As for the formation, it was an anti-detection formation and wouldn't prevent them from going out. What about you? Won't you come with us? A woman who seemed to be in her late 20s asked. Her tone held worry and suspicion. Alex looked at her in silence for a bit before walking toward her while holding Dan's daughter in one hand. The woman flinched and took a step back when she saw Alex coming towards her. I didn't mean to suspect you. I mean. She stuttered as she struggled to find her words. Alex didn't really care about what she wanted to say or what she was thinking. He handed the little girl over after he reached the woman. Bring her outside. Her father is an officer of the Union. You'll see him when you go out, Alex said. While saying this, Alex activated Void Walk and a gateway appeared behind him. So after he finished speaking, he turned around and walked into the white space. Everyone. Alex disappeared immediately after telling that woman to bring the kid out personally. Did they have any other choice now besides doing what he had told them? Let's go. A man voiced out and took the lead. He was one of the first group of people that Alex had saved. Freeevnovlo.cm He would have been thrown into the transformation pool if not for Mr. Chen. His trust in Mr. Chen was high. Chapter 121, An Archmage. While they left, Alex used Void Walk to return to the platform where he had found the children earlier. The reason why he had come back was because he wanted to use the Warden of the Rift spell again. He wasn't satisfied with the strength of the people he had met in this place. He was certain there were more members of the Dark Union outside and stronger ones too. For instance, the guy with the shadow element who had tried to invite Alex to join the Dark Union, he didn't find him here. Alex was sure there was still someone else behind that person who had tried to invite him, since the one controlling the members of the Dark Union in Balan City would probably not come to him personally, since it would be too risky. Could it be that they somehow knew that he was coming and had left in advance? Alex shook his head at the thought of this. They couldn't know that he was coming since he hadn't told anyone. It must have been a coincidence. Alex's eyes turned silver-white the next moment as countless stars appeared around him and formed 4 large star constellations in less than a second. Warden of the Rift. The star constellations disappeared and Alex's eyes began to glow like a torch behind his mask. The familiar feeling returned and Alex's consciousness covered the entire city. He saw the people he had rescued going out through the door and finding the large crowd outside. Some of the people whom Alex had rescued found their family members outside and were happily reunited with them. He saw Dan run toward the woman who was carrying his daughter and hugged her while holding back his tears. Many similar scenes could be seen outside the building as the missing people reunited with their loved ones. It was a joyous sight. Alex smiled, contented with the result of his work, before shifting his attention away as his gaze swept through the entire city and every sound drilled into his mind like a tide. Less than 3 seconds later, Alex heard something and quickly focused. The method of this so-called Mr. Chen is really shocking, to think he was able to find our base so easily. You made a great loss this time, Blackrobe. Not only did you lose transformation pools and lots of dark beasts, but many yellow robes and disciples of the Dark Union have died because of your carelessness. Prepare for your punishment at the convention. I understand, esteemed Red Robe. Please help me deal with Mr. Chen. Of course, I will deal with him. He's an archmage and dealing with him for the Dark Union will increase my points. Alex listened to the conversation of these people and was certain that they were part of the Dark Union branch that he had busted. From what they were saying, he could understand that they had already learned that he had discovered their hideout and had wiped out everyone left behind. Aside from that, Alex could also tell that one of them was a high-ranked member who had come to Balan City for his sake. But he felt that it was odd, the voice of this red robe according to how they were addressed, did not sound right. Freeable.cm Alex's gaze quickly moved over, crossing the city in a flash and arriving on the part that was close to the northern border of Balan City. His gaze pierced through the roof of a villa, and he found a group of people in a luxurious living room with a sparkling marble floor and a gigantic chandelier hanging from above and casting a golden glow over the place. A figure sat on a grand seat, waving his legs in the air while sucking on a lollipop which he held in one hand. Around 8 people stood around him with respectful postures. One was in a black robe while the others were in yellow robes. After seeing this scene, Alex's expression turned unnatural as a deep frown formed on his face. From what he was seeing, he was certain that the figure seated on the grand seat was the red-robed figure who had been invited to deal with him. But, this is just a little kid. Alex exclaimed in disbelief as he stared at the young boy who looked around the age of 13 to 14 years old. Who would imagine that such a cute kid was a member of the Dark Union, and a high-ranking one at that? Alex decided to check the strength level of the kid, and he received an even greater shock after checking the rank of the kid. This little boy who was eating a candy, was an archmage just like Alex. He was shocked beyond words and found it unbelievable. How was that even possible? Even if the other party started gathering mana from his mother's womb, it wasn't possible to reach the archmage rank so quickly. Or, could he also have a system? Alex wondered aloud, a suspicious feeling creeping up his heart. If that was the case, then this little kid could reach the archmage rank at such a young age since Alex had done the same in just a few weeks. Though that was only because his system was broken and he could level up continuously without anything holding him back. But there shouldn't be a second system. 2 systems aren't supposed to appear at the same time. This was what Alex had learned from all the system novels that he had read in his former world. Could there be another reason? Alex remembered at this moment that there were plenty of cases in novels that he had read where old experts encountered some strange conditions that caused them to look like teenagers or even children. That might be the case here. Alex chose to accept this thought rather than thinking that there were two systems. Of course, no matter what the reason behind this child archmage was, Alex was sure of one thing. He had to eliminate all of them. Alex checked the rank of the others around the kid and saw that there was only one master mage, who was the figure in a black robe. The others were all at the core and expert mage rank. After checking, he ended the skill and activated Void Walk before stepping into the white space. The gateway closed behind him, signifying that he wasn't coming because here. When Alex stepped out of the second gateway, he appeared outside the building where Clint and the members of the Union were still taking care of things. They had received the missing people and were currently asking some questions. Someone instantly noticed Alex when he suddenly appeared in their midst. Look, it's Mr. Chen. The person shouted with excitement while pointing at Alex. Alex rolled his eyes behind his mask. Who was this loudmouth? Many people instantly turned to look at him after that person pointed him out. Oh my goodness, it's really Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen really saved them all, they weren't lying. Mr. Chen. Many voices started to call out to him for one reason or another, but Alex ignored all of them and walked in Clint's direction. Someone appeared in front of him just before he could reach Clint. It was Dan, who was hugging his daughter. Alex could see the storm behind the man's expression at a glance, but he was composing himself not to cry. MMR Chen, thank you. Thank you so much for saving my baby. Dan bowed deeply and shouted at the top of his lungs. Alex nodded before moving past him and continuing toward branch leader Clint. Mr. Chen. The Union owes you one this time. I don't think I can ever thank you enough for what you did here. Clint said with a smile as he watched Mr. Chen walk over. But Alex didn't respond and just kept walking, which surprised Clint a bit as he wondered what was wrong. Reaching Clint, Alex finally spoke. Come with me, he then turned to William and added, you too. Both men were confused, but still nodded. William walked toward the two of them. Clint turned to look at Sylvia and the others. He told them to wrap things up outside before going in to take a look. The elders and sub-elders received the order and immediately started acting. Clint then turned to face Alex. Mr. Chen, where are we going? Instead of replying, Alex reached out and grabbed the two men by their wrists. Boom. The next moment, the ground where he was standing earlier exploded as Alex leapt into the sky like a rocket. A powerful gust of wind swept in all directions, and the people in the area had to cover their faces with their hands to block the dust and wind. They were shocked. Mr. Chen had disappeared with the two leading figures of the Union branch, not even after images were left behind. Meanwhile, by the time Clint said, William realized what was going on. They found themselves rushing through the sky and strong winds slapping their faces that they could barely open their eyes. The two. Just how fast was Mr. Chen going? They were master rank mages, for goodness sake. Chapter 122, Candy or Magic Item. Alex didn't use Void Walk after taking Clint and William for obvious reasons, same thing for Blink as well since it was a space spell and Mr. Chen was known as a lightning mage. His speed was extreme as he shuttled through the airspace of Balan City while dragging the two men along with him. They were like blurry shadows that flashed through the sky. A few seconds later, Alex finally stopped and released his hold on the two men. Both of them were finally able to see properly, but their minds were currently disoriented. They placed both hands on their knees and bent their bodies slightly to recover before looking around. In front of them was a villa with large windows and all of the rooms were lit up. Clint and William turned to look at Alex with a confused expression, wondering why he had brought them here. The remaining members of the Dark Union are here. Prepare to capture them, Alex said expressionlessly upon noticing their gazes. The two men were shocked to hear this, and their faces turned serious as they stared at the villa. They didn't know how Mr. Chen was able to find out about the second base of the Dark Union, but they didn't doubt him, considering that he had found the first one as well. The two of them got ready to fight. The strength of the members of the Dark Union at the first base was pitifully weak. The stronger ones must be hiding here. Alex took the first step, approaching the villa while the two men followed behind him. But before they could reach the villa, figures appeared from the villa one after the other and landed in front of Alex, a distance of 11 meters between them. The figure in front was the little boy who was eating a lollipop while several adults in robes followed behind him. I didn't expect us to have visitors. You must be Mr. Chen. I'm not surprised that you managed to find this place. The little boy said while staring at Alex's mask with a calm look in his eyes. He didn't seem bothered that they had been discovered. Alex stared back, still slightly surprised that the other party really looked like a little kid. He wasn't the only one. Both Clint and William were also shocked to see the little kid and the many people behind him. They realized that they couldn't see through the rank of the little kid. Either he wasn't a mage or he was stronger than them. As for the others, the one in black robes was a master rank mage while the ones in yellow robes were at the expert and core mage ranks. Your Dark Union has caused too much trouble in Balan City. Turn yourselves in, or we'll use force. Clint regained his calm and voice out as he stepped forward, blazing red stars appearing around him. I think I'll pass on that, branch leader. I'm just a kid and can't go to prison yet. Besides, do you have the ability to arrest me? The kid moved his lollipop away and looked at Clint with a smile that reached his eyes. The next moment, his body exploded with powerful mana that sent strong wind in all directions and caused everyone's clothes to flutter wildly. Clint. William. Both of them were dumbstruck. This kid was an archmage. How was that possible? The boy was pleased with their expressions and resumed eating his lollipop. He wasn't able to see Mr. Chen's expression because of the latter's mask, but that wasn't too important. What was important was that he couldn't see through Mr. Chen's rank as well. He was sure that he had felt the aura of an archmage earlier before they left the underground base. That aura must definitely belong to Mr. Chen. But why couldn't he see through the other party now? The boy's eyes landed on the white mask and his eyes instantly lit up. That's it, the mask must be a magic item that blocks probing from others. Reaching this conclusion, the boy stopped eating his lollipop and said once more. How about this? You guys have caused us quite a lot of damage this time, let's call it even and we can all go our separate ways. William had a furious expression when he heard this, and Clint was the same. Both of them stared at the little kid who was smiling at them with sharp eyes, but didn't dare to do anything since the other party was stronger than they were. They could only turn to look at Mr. Chen for help. Alex noticed this, and he stepped forward and said. That won't do, you have to come with us. Whoosh. Immediately after saying that, Alex shot toward the kid at full speed. A grin formed on the kid's lips when he saw this and he dashed forward as well. Boom. The two of them clashed just after moving for a few meters and the impact sent the other sliding back. They stared at Mr. Chen and the kid with startled expressions. When did they move? Alex threw a fist, but the kid had blocked it with his bare hand while still holding his lollipop in the other hand. The ground under their feet had shattered due to their clash and turned into a small crater. Mr. Chen, I heard that you rejected the invitation to join us, but I'm still going to give you the opportunity again. Join us, you'll receive benefits that even the HQ of the Union won't offer you. The kid smiled as he stared at Alex's mask. Instead of responding, purple stars appeared around Alex and formed two star constellations instantly. Lightning bolt. Alex called out. Everyone except the kid was frightened by this scene. Master rank spell in less than a second? How could someone's casting speed be so fast? The star constellations rose into the air and quickly expanded, and a terrifying and violent pressure enveloped the place as it prepared to strike down. "I'll take that as a no," the kid voiced out, the smile still on his face. The next moment, he threw the lollipop in his hand at the star constellations in the air. Everyone saw the lollipop fly into the air before suddenly expanding into a multicolored giant lollipop that blocked half of the star constellations. At the same time, the lightning bolt struck down. Bam! The ferocious lightning bolt struck the candy, causing a thunderous sound that resembled a cannon blast. The lollipop shuddered but didn't collapse. It had successfully blocked the attack. Alex. TF, so this thing was also a magic item and wasn't just a candy? Who the hell goes around eating a magic item like candy? Alex was vexed at this discovery, and he turned to Clint and William before saying, "Go get the others." The two men came back to their senses and immediately flew toward the people behind the kid. "Not so fast." The figure in a black robe muttered as a soft glow illuminated from under his robe. Several dark figures suddenly dashed out from the darkness in the distance and charged at the two men. They were dark beasts. "Don't try to fight, activate the spell book," the kid called out as he dodged a fist from Alex and moved back. Alex raised an eyebrow behind his mask. "Spell book, what's a spell book?" Chapter 123, Next time. Upon hearing the orders, the man in a black robe looked at one of the people in a yellow robe before asking them to activate the spell book. At the same time, he turned to face Clint, who had sent a spell at them. Blue stars appeared around him and quickly formed a star pattern. After the star pattern formed, a meter-long water blade shot out from it and flew toward Clint's fireball. While this was happening, William was dealing with several dark beasts and spells that were coming towards him. This made him unable to approach whoever was going to activate the spell book. At this moment, one of the yellow robes took something out from his storage device. It was a small note with silver-white stars imprinted on it. Alex could instantly feel the energy of the space element from the note. Clint and William sensed this as well, and a feeling of urgency appeared in their hearts. "Mr. Chen. It's a teleportation spell book, they are going to escape," William cried out as he jumped from where he was standing, dodging an ice spell which crashed into the ground. After that, he turned and cast a light beam at a dark beast that tried to jump at him. Alex heard this and glanced at the yellow robe who was holding the spell book, so that thing was like a teleportation scroll. Thinking of this, Alex dashed toward the yellow-robed figure. But before he could reach his target, two large vines attacked him from the side and forced him to dodge to the side. He looked and saw the little kid standing not far away with a green star pattern floating behind him. "You should focus on me instead." The kid smiled before controlling the vines to attack Alex again after he dodged the first time. The speed of these vines was several times faster than any other vines that Alex had come across. They could even keep up with Alex's moving speed. Alex guessed that it was because the person who had cast it was an archmage, which was why they were faster than vines created by weaker mages. After dodging for the third time, Alex summoned his purple stars and cast another lightning bolt within a second. Boom! The powerful lightning bolt struck down just as suddenly as the first star had appeared, but the kid was still able to react and had tossed his lollipop to block it again. Alex clicked his tongue in annoyance. The only way he could probably resolve this problem quickly was if he used the space element, but he couldn't do that with Clint and William present. "If that won't work, then take this," Alex sneered in his thoughts. He moved again, dodging the vines and leaving after images before summoning the stars of the purple element again. Lightning bolt. The casting speed was just as fast as always, and a lightning bolt was soon ready to strike down, only that the kid wasn't the target of this lightning bolt this time around. It was the yellow-robed person who was pouring mana into the spell book in his hands. The expression on the kid's face changed when he saw this. He had long realized that this wasn't a fight that he could win, considering Mr. Chen's frightening speed of casting high-level spells, which was why he had ordered one of them to create an escape route for them. If he allowed Mr. Chen to kill that person, wouldn't they all be doomed? Without thinking twice, the kid tossed the lollipop in his hand toward the yellow robe. The lollipop arrived just in time for the lightning bolt to strike down. Bam! The lightning struck the giant lollipop before it could fully expand to its usual size. The lollipop shuddered and faint cracks appeared around its edges, but it had successfully blocked the spell for the yellow robe. However, killing the yellow robe wasn't really Alex's main objective. Seeing that the lollipop had been sent away, he dashed toward the kid and cast another lightning bolt at the same moment that the first lightning bolt struck down. The eyes of the kid widened in disbelief when he saw this. He almost threw up blood from frustration. How the hell does this Mr. Chen keep casting high-rank spells so quickly? He didn't bother recalling the lollipop since it wouldn't be able to make it back in time before Alex and the lightning bolt reached him. Alex had a grin behind his mask as he approached the little kid. Now that the lollipop was out of the way, the kid would definitely focus on blocking his lightning bolt. This would then give him the chance to grab the other party and then bombard him with more lightning bolts. Boom! The lightning bolt struck down at the kid while Alex was less than 3 meters away, his right hand already stretched out to grab the other party by the neck. However, Alex saw the little kid suddenly throw something at him with enough force to shatter a building if it hit. Still trying to fight back. It's useless. Alex thought as he tilted his head and let the thing fly past him. He glanced at it briefly and saw that it was a small doll-like object. What was this again? Another magic item? But Alex didn't really care as he returned his focus to the little kid who was now right in front of him and was less than a few centimeters away from his fingers. The lightning bolt was right above their heads. Just when Alex thought he was going to grab the little guy, the other party hastily screamed. Switch. Right after he screamed this, the little guy vanished into thin air and was replaced by a doll that was the same size as the kid. Alex hadn't expected this and ended up grabbing the doll. At a glance, he could tell that it was the same doll that he had dodged. Alex. So it really was another magic item. Just how many abnormal magic items did this little guy have? Right after he grabbed the doll, the lightning bolt struck down. Bam! The ground trembled as if it was about to collapse as Alex and the doll were drowned in violent lightning. Unlike Alex, the doll was unable to withstand the might of the lightning bolt and instantly exploded into countless pieces that were then burned to ashes by the lightning. Alex moved his head and looked behind him. Just as he thought, the kid had swapped places with the doll. At the same time, the spell book was finally activated. Countless silver-white stars flew out from it and formed 4-star constellations at an extremely quick speed. The kid grabbed his lollipop and jumped into the center of the star constellations before looking at Alex. The others also pulled back from what they were doing and joined him immediately after the star constellations appeared. Sorry that I can't stay longer, let's continue next time, Mr. Chen. The boy smiled at Alex. With a blinding flash of white light, all of them disappeared with the star constellations. Alex didn't bother going after them since he wouldn't make it to the star constellations before they disappeared, so he just stood in one place and watched. Clint and William had regretful expressions as they watched the members of the Dark Union escape, leaving behind the remaining dark beasts. Next time, you won't be able to escape. Alex mumbled softly to himself. Chapter 124, Reaching the highest rank with several level UPS. After cleaning up the rest of the dark beasts, Alex returned with Clint and William. While the Union began with cleaning up the underground base of the Dark Union, Alex returned home first. There was nothing left for him to do since he had dealt with the most troublesome part for the Union. William informed him that they would report this matter to the Union Core Center and arrange a reward for Alex to show their gratitude. Alex didn't refuse the idea of getting a reward since it meant more money for him, who didn't want more money. Reaching the outskirts, Alex used Void Walk to enter his home and appeared inside his room. He returned his robe and mask to the system before entering his bed. His arrival didn't alert his family as they were all sleeping soundly. The event that happened that night didn't disturb the outskirts, so everyone here was still ignorant of what had happened. This included Alex's family. Lying on his bed and staring blankly at the ceiling of his room, Alex drifted into thoughts as he replayed everything that had happened today in his mind. The most serious matter of today was that he had killed people, lots of people. Alex understood from reading different novels that characters would often suffer from a heavy physiological burden after committing such deeds, which could potentially cause a change in their personalities. But strangely, Alex didn't feel any different from how he used to feel. He couldn't feel any emotional crisis after killing so many people. No guilt, no regrets, just a strange, quiet stillness. Maybe it was because he believed that the members of the Dark Union were horrible people and had to die. After all, seeing what they were doing to others and the fact that they had tried to take his sister, Alex didn't think that they should be left alive. After swimming in thought for a bit, Alex closed his eyes and allowed himself to fall asleep. The day would begin in a few hours, and he planned to go farm EXP outside the city. Alex wanted to level up as much as possible before the next time he would meet that red-robed kid. Time flowed like a rushing stream, and days passed in a flash. In the blink of an eye, several days had passed, and it was the end of the week before the tournament. More and more people had come into Balan City over the past week, and the number of people within the city had more than tripled. It was Saturday and the day for the auction held by the Union. The auction was going to start in the evening, and Alex had been invited as a guest appraiser to see if there would be anything that would catch his attention. Over the past week, Alex had dedicated a lot of his time to farming EXP points. After the competition in the academy, the studying period had returned to normal, so Alex had more time to spend outside Balan City. Of course, he also had to go on a few missions as a member of the Rising Wave group. As he had used an excuse to avoid going on missions for the previous week, Alex wasn't able to completely avoid doing missions this week, and this caused him to be unable to farm EXP on some days. But that wasn't really a problem for Alex, as it didn't affect his original plan by much. The few times that he went out had been enough for him to reap a huge harvest. After the incident that happened that night, Mr. Chen's reputation had completely spread through every corner of Balan City. Now, there wasn't a single person who did not know him. Anyone who didn't know about Mr. Chen would immediately be disdained by everyone. Mr. Chen's reputation had grown so much that even people outside Balan City had heard about him. Big families wanted to meet him, explorer groups wanted to invite him, and many big organizations wanted to strike deals with him. But Alex avoided all of these as he wasn't interested. His heart was invested in only one thing, and that was to farm EXP points and level up. He could do everything else after he was strong enough not to be threatened by anyone. So over the week, Alex continued to hunt magic beasts outside the city and continued to sell the corpses to the Union when he returned. This continued to generate constant income for him while he gathered EXP points. He has also received a reward from the Union for helping with the Dark Union. After William contacted the Union Core Center in the capital, they had asked Alex to decide how he wanted to be rewarded. If he wanted a magic item as a reward, monetary reward. Alex had witnessed the benefits of owning a magic item firsthand after facing the Red Robe from the Dark Union, therefore, he had thought of requesting a magic item as a reward. But on a second thought, he realized that he didn't know about magic items that much, except for what the previous Alex knew. He knew that his lack of sufficient knowledge wouldn't let him make the best choice, so he had opted to get paid instead. After receiving his answer, William informed the Union Core Center, and Alex received a Union card with the amount of 500 million Zen in it. Adding the amount he had made from selling beast corpses during the week and his previous amount, Alex's total wealth had risen to 800 million Zen. It was a mind-blowing amount, and Alex felt like a second-generation heir of a wealthy family, only that he had worked all of this himself. Also, after dealing with the Dark Union in Balan City, Alex would occasionally scan the city with his spell to check if any member of the Dark Union had returned, but he didn't find anything, even after days, which was a good thing. Still, he didn't tell the Union or Emily's principal to withdraw the people that they had sent to watch over the outskirts and his family. Back to the present. Alex slowly walked in the middle of nowhere. Everywhere around was covered in yellow sand and it was approaching evening. While it looked like he was walking in the middle of nowhere, Alex was certain that he was heading in the direction of the city. He had changed location several times while hunting beasts, and he had come to this wilderness that was thousands of miles away from Balan City. While he walked, Alex called out his system profile. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zorin Level, 21 EXP for next level, 34,000/100, Error, Rank, Mid-Stage, Archmage Rank Elements, Space. Lightning Special Abilities, Dual Element Body, the host can use 2 elements. Void Walk. Alex's eyes gleamed with a bright light as he looked at his EXP points and his rank. He did a quick calculation in his mind, and his breathing quickened. Without hesitating, he gave the mental order for the system to level up. As soon as his order was passed out, notifications appeared in front of him as his EXP points were slowly chipped away. Level up. LV21, LV22, LV23. Mid-stage, high stage, peak stage, next rank. Low stage. Alex leveled up several times in a row as he advanced in sub-stages and crossed ranks. A while later, the notifications finally stopped after he leveled up 22 times in a row. Level up complete. LV44. Boom. As the last notification appeared in front of Alex's eyes, a violent explosion erupted within him as his soul C experienced a huge upgrade. Not just his soul C, the mana in his body also became stronger and the number of stars inside his soul C rapidly increased in numbers as new stars were formed by the powerful mana in his body. Soon, the scene in Alex's soul C resembled a vast galaxy with countless stars in it. The explosion in his soul C caused a violent shockwave in the outside world. It felt as if an explosion had set off with Alex in the middle. An area of several kilometers around Alex was being turned into a colossal pit. Barely containing the excitement he was feeling, Alex was glad that he didn't level up after going back to the city. He would have destroyed the city with such a powerful shockwave. He quickly called out his system profile without leaving the pit first. Almighty Path System, Error, Host, Alex Zorin Level, 44 EXP for next level 31,800/100, Error, Rank, Peak Stage, Saint Rank Elements, Space. Lightning Special Abilities, Dual Element Body, the host can use 2 elements. Void Walk. Alex stared at his system profile, not knowing how to feel. He had reached the peak of the Saint rank, the highest rank known to everyone on the planet. For a long time, Alex just stood in the middle of the gigantic pit without moving. Chapter 125, Reasons to Remain Hidden. Start of the auction. He had drifted into thoughts. Now that he had reached the highest rank known to mages, which was the Saint Mage rank, he didn't have any reason to be afraid and keep hiding his true identity anymore. He could now disclose that he was Mr. Chen and did not need to hide his wealth from his family members. He also didn't need to continue going to the academy anymore and could abandon the tournament. He didn't really care what happened to the academy if he suddenly left. Their performance during the tournament would definitely drop due to his absence, just like Laura's, but that didn't concern Alex. After all, the academy had turned a blind eye to most of the injustice he had suffered during his years as a trash. However, on second thought, Alex didn't feel alright with suddenly deleting the identity of Mr. Chen and drawing all of the attention to himself. If everyone knew that he was Mr. Chen, many of them would definitely come to bother him for one reason or another, just like how they were trying to form connections with Mr. Chen right now. The only reason why he could still avoid them was that they couldn't find him. But if they knew Alex was Mr. Chen, they would just go directly to his family and beg for an audience. His family wouldn't be able to live a simple life after his revelation as well, and might even start to avoid public places. And while no one would dare to offend him, the hearts of humans were unpredictable, especially those from the Dark Union who didn't fear dying. Would he need to take away his family's freedom just so he could protect them at all times by keeping them by his side at all times? Another thing that occurred to Alex was that he still didn't know a lot of things about magic and the things on this planet. His current knowledge was that of an academy student, which wasn't enough. To know more, he would need to go to a magic university and explore this vast world of magic without being constantly bothered by people who wanted to form connections with him. For this reason, Alex had decided to remain in the academy and participate in the tournament so as to catch the eyes of a good magic university. While on that, he'll continue to maintain the identity of Mr. Chen and explore places where his identity as Alex couldn't reach. It was a win-win situation. Plus, he was a young youth who didn't get the chance to experience college life in his previous world and still had many school fantasies that he wanted to experience. Going to a magic university would help him fulfill this wish of his. After thinking of this, Alex came out of the pit. He only intended to jump a bit, but he ended up launching himself several hundred meters into the sky. Alex. He drifted in the air for a few seconds before using Blink to travel toward Balon City. He decided not to use Void Walk, even though it would be faster, and Blink several times instead. Now that he had reached the Saint rank, the distance that he could blink to had also increased greatly, so it only took him a few spells to enter Balon City. Reaching Balon City, Alex used Void Walk to enter the Union building. Due to how popular he was now and how many people wanted to meet him, the bottom floor of the Union building was always packed with people around evening because it was the time that Mr. Chen usually came to the Union building and their only chance of meeting him. For this reason, branch leader Clint had suggested that whenever Mr. Chen wanted to come to the Union building, he could directly come to his office. So when Alex entered the Union building, he had opened the second gate in Clint's office. William and Clint were discussing inside the office when Alex appeared out of thin air in front of them. Both of them were surprised when they saw him before inviting him to join them. What they were discussing was the auction that was to be held this evening. The two were still making arrangements for the items that would be auctioned later in the evening. Since Mr. Chen was a guest appraiser they had invited and also a figure whom they respected, they didn't feel it was wrong to have him join in the discussion. But Alex just stayed silent through the entire conversation as he just listened to the two. What could he possibly contribute when his knowledge of this planet was only that of a Magic Academy student? Alex didn't interrupt them and allowed them to finish. Only after they were done did he inform them that he was here to sell beast corpses. The two brought Alex to the large room for him to take out the corpses. The exchange process was done quickly as William and Clint worked together to sort out the corpses of the magic beasts that Alex had brought back, and an additional amount of 55 million Zen was added to Alex's Union card before he left the Union building and returned home. During dinner with his family, Alex informed his family that he intended to attend the Union auction that evening. Since the clearing of the base of the Dark Union last week, Balon City had been very peaceful, so Alex's parents had no issues with him going to the auction. They only asked if he was going by himself or with someone. Alex said that he was going with the members of the Rising Wave group and wouldn't be by himself. His parents easily agreed after hearing. Emily even said that she wanted to go with him, but his parents refused. This made Emily upset and only cheered up a bit after Alex promised to get something for her. Alex left not long after. He used Void Walk after reaching a quiet corner and returned to the Union building. He had already equipped his mask and robe by the time he reached the Union building. Reaching the Union building, Alex saw that they were already preparing for the auction. He soon found Lance, who brought him to the storage room where all of the items that would be auctioned were kept. The storage room was just as large as the room where Alex usually took out the beast corpses that he wanted to sell to the Union. There were hundreds of items stored in this place and members of the Union were still bringing in more. Lance told him that most of the items in the storage room were from people who wanted to auction their stuff and only some of the things belonged to the Union. The appraisal soon started. Lance invited Alex to an area and appointed an assistant to help him carry the things that he would be appraising. The attendant was a man in his late 20s, he had a nervous look on his face as he stared at Alex. It wasn't that he was scared, he was only nervous since the person he was attending to was the famous Mr. Chen. After summoning some courage, he introduced himself and stated how long he had been training to be an appraiser. Alex was shocked to hear that the other party had been studying to be an appraiser, yet he had been an assistant to someone like him who hadn't even trained for a single day. Thankfully, he had his mask. Alex would have risked embarrassing himself. After a brief exchange, the assistant started bringing the items to Alex. Alex would simply look at them before spitting out the information that the mask provided, and the assistant would then proceed to write it down. The information given by the mask was always accurate and sometimes even contained information that was not necessarily needed. Let alone the assistant, even Lance and the other master appraisers who had been invited were shocked by Mr. Chen's precision. Meanwhile, Alex was secretly shocked by the variety of things that he had to appraise. They included mana cores, magic beast parts, spell books, magic items, and even eggs of magic beasts and even young magic beasts that could be trained to become contracted beast companions of mages who had the summoning element. His knowledge about this world was really shallow, he had a lot that he still had to learn. After the appraisal session, Alex received 20 million Zen as payment for his hard work. This amount stunned Alex as it was added to his union card by Lance, who was the head of appraisers in this union branch. 20 million Zen for just appraising some items. Alex realized that there were other professions that could let him earn more than what he usually made from selling beast corpses. Mr. Chen, the auction will be starting soon. A private VVIP room has been reserved for you. Would you like to head there now? Lance said with a smile as they watched some staff bringing the items away. Chapter 126, The Auction. The auction room was a large hall on one of the floors of the Union building. It had a floor section where countless seats were neatly arranged and an upper section where several private booths were located. One could look down at what was happening on the platform below from their private booths, but those in the floor section could not see those in the private booths because of the dark glass blocking it. These booths were the VIP and VVIP rooms reserved for important figures such as the representatives of big families, leaders of various large explorer groups, and influential figures with large wealth or strength. The room that Alex was assigned was a VVIP booth. It was very spacious and well decorated with an elegant appeal. A large, soft couch was placed in front of the black glass while a tray stand stood beside the couch. This was for Alex to enjoy himself while watching the auction. On the tray stand was a plaque with a number written on it. The number on it would be how he would be addressed during the auction. Alex's plaque had the number 1 written on it. Seems like Clint and the others were treating him with utmost importance. A sort of magic item was also placed inside the room that made the temperature inside to become cool. Along with this, an attendant was also assigned to him. This person would follow all of his orders if he needed anything. Alex sat on the couch and his body sank in slightly. Comfortable. Alex thought to himself as he looked down at the platform below. The stage where the auction would be happening was just a few meters away from the first row of seats. People were already starting to pour in and occupying the seats. They were all dressed in rich and exquisite clothes, clearly people with some level of wealth. The auction will be starting soon. While he waited, Alex turned his gaze and stared at the other private booths. He could easily see through the dark glass that was supposed to make them private. Alex saw that some of the private booths had 2 or more people occupying them. This didn't include the attendants that were assigned to them. And the ranks of some of them were surprisingly high. Many of them were at the Master Mage rank and one was even at the Archmage rank. An Archmage rank in Balan City? Alex's eyes narrowed behind his mask as he stared at this person. It was a man who looked to be in his early 50s but still had a fit appearance. His face didn't have any sign of old age, but many strands of his hair had turned gray. He wore a formal suit and played with a small marble in his hand. Alex could feel the coldness coming from the small marble. It was a magic item. This person wasn't alone. There were two other people aside from the attendant with him in the booth. They were two young people in casual clothes. A young man and a lady, both of them were at the expert mage rank. Alex was surprised by this. Those two didn't look older than 25 years old. Alex decided to pay attention to this group until they left Balon City. He could already tell that they were guests who came to Balon City most likely because of the tournament. Retracting his gaze, Alex's focus returned to the platform below as he waited for the auction to start. More people came in and soon, Alex was able to spot some familiar faces like Aunt Mia and some members of the Rising Wave group. He also saw the blonde-haired Lucas. After a few minutes had passed, the auction started. All of the seats on the floor platform had been occupied and the guests for the private booths had all arrived as well. The host for this auction walked up the platform in front. It was Sylvia. Dressed in a beautiful long evening dress that clung to her figure, with light makeup on her face, and her hair styled into a single braid that rested over her left shoulder. Sylvia looked so beautiful that even Alex, who had seen her once, was stunned. She held a paper in one of her hands as she walked to the platform. She faced the audience and gave a brief introduction of herself before welcoming everyone to the annual auction of the Balon City Union branch. A round of applause was generated from the audience before the auction officially started. The first item was brought on stage and Sylvia started to speak. The first item for the auction was a storage ring that contained 100 grade 1 mana cores. Sylvia explained that the starting bid amount was 500,000 zen and the next bid must be 50 zen higher. Immediately after her words, the audience started the bidding war. They raised their plagues and shouted their offer for the mana cores. Alex watched with interest. This was his first time participating in an auction. He had seen it in movies and read about such events in books before, but seeing it in person had a very different feel. Especially since he was someone with a lot of money, he found it funny to watch as many people struggled over who would acquire the mana cores. None of the people in the VIP and VVIP booths called out to bid for this round. They all watched. Not long after, someone finally won the bidding war for the mana cores. It was an aged man in a grand robe. He had gotten the mana cores for 790,000 zen. Sylvia announced the end of that bidding war. The storage ring was taken away to be prepared and sent to the aged man while the next time was brought up. Sylvia informed everyone of the next item, which was another storage ring containing 50 grade 2 mana cores. The starting price was 600,000 zen and every bid had to be 1,000 zen higher. A bidding war started again. Time quickly passed as items were brought up one after another for the audience to compete for. Most of the items brought first were mana cores and valuable beast parts like claws, wings, teeth, and bones. After more than an hour had passed, high-level items were starting to appear. The first one was a spell book. The spell book contained the core rank spell of the fire element, Fiery Fist. The starting price for it was 5 million zen and every new bid had to be 100,000 zen higher. 6 million zen. Someone thrust their plaque into the air and roared. 6,100,000 zen. The voice of the first person had barely faded before another person called out a higher price. Just like that, it was a fierce battle of who would get the spell book. Alex watched in surprise. A core rank spell book was so expensive? The price had reached 8 million zen in less than a minute. While watching the war over the spell book, Alex's ears caught words from the other VVIP booth, which was where the archmage was, and he immediately began to listen. Look at them fighting over a mere core rank spell book. These types of things are useless at the university. The one who spoke was the young lady among the three. Don't be like that. Spell books can be used automatically without needing to connect the stars yourself and one isn't required to have that particular element. It can be very useful when you're outside in the wild. The young man lectured. The middle-aged man didn't bother with the two and continued to pay attention to what was going on below. Alex lifted an eyebrow after listening to the exchange between the two young people. So they were from a magic university? They must be from a very powerful magic university, then, to be able to send out an archmage. Alex thought to himself before returning his focus to the auction. The spell book was soon acquired by someone who had won with a bid of 9,800,000 zen. The next item that came was an egg. Sylvia gave an explanation while the egg was being carried over. It was the egg of a winged magic beast known as the yellow-winged Sky King. It could be raised to be a fine, contracted beast companion for summoning mages. The starting bid price was 10 million zen and an increase of 500,000 zen in every new bid. A flying magic beast, how useful was that? They didn't even need Sylvia to save much after calling its name. For those who knew about the yellow-winged Sky King, they were shocked to see its egg here. After all, it was a magic beast that could reach the strength of a transformed rank beast before reaching adulthood and could fly extremely fast, crossing hundreds of kilometers in less than a minute. The egg of a Sky King? How lucky, I want it. The young lady in the other VVIP booth exclaimed. It appeared that she had the rare summoning element. Then bid for it? The archmage glanced at her and said expressionlessly. The young lady nodded excitedly and picked up the plaque that was given to them before calling out. 50 million zen. The entire auction. Chapter 127, Twin Bracelets 50 million zen. An excited female voice sounded from one of the VVIP booths, shocking everyone, so they all fell silent and looked in the direction of the booth. The starting price was only 10 million zen, but someone directly raised it so high on the first bid. Who would want to compete with such a person? Even Alex was surprised at the amount that the lady called. As expected of people from a magic university, they were rich. Without much surprise, the girl acquired the egg. No one else bothered to bid for it after she called such an extravagant amount. The egg was taken away while the next item was brought up. It was a movement-type magic item, the wind boots. A magic item that would greatly increase the speed of its wearer when mana was poured into it. It was a handy item, especially for explorers. Soon, another bidding war started and even those in the VIP booths joined in. Only the two VVIP booths did not participate. After the booths were sold out, more items were brought up. Cubs of magic beasts, spell books, eggs, and magic items of various grades were brought. The most expensive one that Alex had seen since the start of the auction was the cub of a three-tailed flame tiger, and without much of a surprise, it was the same lady in the same booth as the archmage who had bought it for a shocking bid of 150 million zen. Time passed swiftly and an item that caught Alex's attention finally appeared. The next item is a very rare kind that can't even be found in most places in the capital. The Twin Trinity bracelets. Sylvia announced before proceeding to explain the magic items. They were a pair of grade 3 magic items that had 3 uses. They could defend their wearer when they sensed danger, attack whatever threatened their wearer, and teleport their wearer to a safe location if the need called for it. What was even better was that these items could be used by anyone as they didn't need to be activated by others to work. They could react to the situations around their wearer like humans and could take whatever form that the wearer desired. Alex's eyes brightened upon hearing this. A grade 3 magic item, wasn't that equivalent to having a master rank mage bodyguard following you around all the time? And there were 2 of them, he could get them for his parents. Alex looked at the Twin Trinity bracelets. Their appearance was very stylish, with shining gems decorating them all over. It was very eye-catching and would draw attention even if it were a normal bracelet. Thankfully, the bracelets could take other forms so Alex could take care of the issue of it drawing attention and potentially being recognized. The starting bid amount is 15 million zen and an increase of 100,000 zen for each new bid, Sylvia announced. The bidding war for the bracelets began. Those in the private booths joined as well. The price for the bracelets soon rose from 15 million zen to 30 million zen. At this point, only those in the private booths were competing, as everyone on the floor section had given up after it rose past 20 million yen. Alex didn't join in yet and continued to observe. He paid attention to the other VVIP booth. Neither the Archmage nor the two young people had any interest in purchasing these bracelets, but they discussed it after it appeared. Alex noticed that the Archmage was also paying attention to his booth, but tried not to make it look obvious. After minutes of competing, someone gave a bid of 50 million yen for the two bracelets. No one raised the bid after that, and it appeared that this person had successfully gotten the items. Just then, Alex moved his plaque, even though no one could see this action of his. 100 million yen. He voiced out. Once again, the entire auction house fell into silence as everyone looked in the direction of Alex's booth. The Archmage and the two young people with him were the same. They presumed that the people in Alex's booth were a very influential person and probably weren't from a small place like Balon City. The fact that he hadn't shown interest in any of the things that had appeared previously made them believe their thoughts even more. So why did he make such a high bid for mere grade 3 magic items? Sylvia knew that it was Mr. Chen in that booth as well, and she was equally surprised as to why Mr. Chen would need these things. In her opinion, they were useless to Mr. Chen. Could be that he wants to give them out. Sylvia thought before asking if there was anyone else who wanted to offer a higher bid. Obviously, no one wanted to offer a higher price for just grade 3 magic items, no matter how useful they were. Just when Sylvia was about to announce the end of the bidding, a calm voice sounded. 150 million yen. Gasps could be heard throughout the auction, and the voice came from the second VVIP booth. Alex looked over. It was the Archmage. He raised an eyebrow, wondering what the other party was up to. The two young people beside Archmage also looked at him with confusion. They could tell that he wasn't interested in the items and was only going after them because the person in the other VVIP booth wanted them. After a moment of silence, Alex increased the bid by another 50 million yen, raising the price of the bracelets to 200 million yen. He needed these bracelets for his parents. A small smile appeared on the face of the Archmage. He relaxed on the couch he was sitting on before opening his mouth again. 250 million yen. This time, Alex frowned slightly and stared at the Archmage through the black glass. This time, the stare was so intense that the Archmage felt it. It was as if a hot iron was placed near his face. All right, I'll stop now. No need to get serious. The Archmage mumbled with an apologetic smile. Who are you talking to? The young man asked with a confused face, but the Archmage didn't respond. He knew that the person in the other booth had heard him. After the last bid from the Archmage, Alex bid again. This time, no one raised the bid and the bracelets were finally sold off for the price of 300 million yen. Alex. His wealth had dropped significantly after purchasing just 2 items. It seems like he wasn't as rich as he had imagined. After the bracelets were sold out, another item came out again. It was a healing gel. Alex had seen a healing gel before when Mia used it to heal the injury of a member of their group during his first raid mission. The price for this healing gel starts at 200,000 yen and an additional 1,000 for every new bid. It was time for those on the floor section to bid for the healing gel, which included Mia. The price of the healing gel quickly reached 500,000 yen. Those who were still bidding now were leaders of various explorer groups, and none of the people in the VIP booths joined in the bid. After all, while the healing gel was good and had a miraculous effect, it wasn't much compared to the healing spells of the light element. Only those who didn't have a light mage who was at the expert rank in their group would bid for it. As the bid continued, only Mia and a few more people were left, and the price for the healing gel had reached 700,000 yen. Alex looked down, and he could see that Mia really wanted the healing gel since she was now bidding against people who sent groups that were several times bigger than the Rising Wave group. He decided to give a little hand. 3 million yen, he called out. And again, the entire auction descended into silence as they all turned in Alex's direction. Who was this big shot? Why are you trying to snatch things away from people like us, just because you're rich? The people on the floor platform felt very aggrieved, they could only give up on bidding. Although 3 million yen was still within their capability, who knew how much this big shot would raise it if he spoke up again? Alex found their expressions funny, he wondered how Mia would react after she received the healing gel later. After the bid for the healing gel, Alex didn't find anything of interest within the following items that were brought up and resumed watching. He was waiting to see if he would find anything that he could get for his sister. While watching, Alex got bored and summoned his system to kill time. He looked at his profile and saw the amount of EXP points that he still had left. Since he had reached the highest mage rank, couldn't he use these points to create spells? Chapter 128, Petty Alex glanced at his rank and then at his EXP points. The current level of the system didn't look fit enough to be its max. What system would become maxed out at level 44? Could it be that he could still level up the system? He didn't really think about this after he reached the peak of the saint rank. After all, if the system could still level up even after he reached the saint rank, wouldn't that mean that the saint rank wasn't the highest? Thinking about this, Alex felt optimistic as he decided to try leveling up again. A notification appeared in front of him immediately after he gave the order for the system to level up, his EXP didn't reduce by even a single point. Ding, system level up, LV44, LV45. Failed. Error. 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 Level up failed, requirement not met. Next rank, Elemental Godhood, Stage 1 failed. Detected that the host has failed to level up to the next rank due to the system being incomplete/broken. Requirement to level up, find the missing part of the system and fix it. Error. 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 Alex. The series of notifications appeared in front of Alex after he tried leveling up. He stared at the long interface covered in errors with a blank look on his face. The hell? There was a next rank? Elemental Godhood Stage 1? Why was this new information? And he needed to fix the system if he wanted to reach the next rank? Like hell he would, wouldn't all of the system's restrictions come back once he fixed it? The amount of EXP needed for every level up will start to increase the stronger he gets, and the consequence function will be restored too. Why would he want that? And even if he wanted to fix the system, where was he supposed to find its missing part? Where should he go to search for it and what did it look like? Alex was vexed and closed the system profile. He wasn't going to fix the system, he didn't want to. As for the next rank, he would think about that later. His attention returned to the auction. At this moment, an item was brought up that attracted everyone's attention. Even before the item was brought up to the stage, everyone could already feel the rich elemental energy coming from it. The water element. The next item on the auction list is an elemental fruit. As you all can already tell, it's an elemental fruit with water element affinity and can greatly increase the strength of a water mage's element, making their spells stronger. Sylvia started to explain the elemental fruit as it was brought. Everyone looked with shock at the small fruit on a silver tray. It was shining with dazzling blue light and seemed translucent with blue liquid squirming inside of it. Alex was dazed by the appearance of the elemental fruit, and he activated the ability of the all-knowing mask while looking at it. Information about the elemental fruit immediately appeared in front of his eyes. The water elemental fruit was a natural magic item that had an enhancing effect and would increase the power of whichever water mage consumed it. Natural magic items were magic items that were not created by humans but were formed naturally by the energy of a particular element gathering in one place for a very long time. Such a thing existed. Alex was in shock. Without needing anyone else to explain to him, he already understood what the elemental fruit was capable of after reading the information from the all-knowing mask. It was like doubling the force of something. While others were still on 1 point, yours would be at 2 already. If both were to compete in spell power, it was obvious who would win. Although the water elemental fruit was useless to Alex since he didn't have the water element, the appearance of this fruit made him hopeful. What if he acquired a lightning elemental fruit or a space elemental fruit? Back on the platform, Sylvia announced the starting bid for the elemental fruit. It started at 30 million zen with an increase of 1 million zen in every new bid. Before those on the floor platform could even try to call their bids, a loud voice sounded from one of the VIP booths. 100 million zen. The voice of the person had barely dropped when another voice sounded. 500 million zen. The audience in the floor section of the auction gulped hard, mentally giving up on acquiring this treasure and secretly cursing at the people in the private booths for being filthy rich. The second voice that had bid 500 million zen came from the second VVIP booth. It was the Archmage. Alex's eyes flashed, so this person wanted to acquire the elemental fruit, a good chance to teach him a lesson. 600 million zen. Alex called out, shocking everyone again. Many of them clutched their chests, they just couldn't take the injustice. Their entire life fortunes were being called as a bid for a single item, even though the item was very valuable. Who could barely such an indirect poke to the heart? For goodness sake, the original price for the elemental fruit was only 30 million. How did it reach 600 million in less than 10 seconds? Sylvia looked in the direction of Mr. Chen's booth. She felt that Mr. Chen was acting strangely today. Why was he going for things that would be useless to him? Was he really going to give all of them away as gifts? The Archmage glanced in the direction of Alex's booth with a strange smile on his face. He wasn't sure if the other party was trying to get back at him for messing with him earlier or if they genuinely wanted the elemental fruit as well. His guess leaned toward the thought that the other party wanted to get back at him for what he did during the bid for the bracelets. Anyways, none of that mattered. He wasn't planning to give up on this elemental fruit. Even an archmage like himself didn't expect such a treasure to appear in a place like Balan City. 700 million zen. The archmage called out with a serious look on his face. In his booth, Alex grinned under his mask. Did he really want this elemental fruit? Of course not, it was useless to him. He was doing this to get back at the archmage in the next booth. 800 million zen. Alex called out again. 900 million zen. 1 billion zen. The entire place was silent as a graveyard, and only the voices of the people competing for the elemental fruit could be heard. The amount that they were calling presently was enough to send people into shock. Presently, the price for the elemental fruit has risen to 3 billion zen. The archmage was so adamant that even Alex was shocked. He had long gone broke at the start of the bidding war, but didn't give up because he could just owe the union if the other party gave up. What he didn't expect was for the other party to be so stubborn and hell-bent on getting this item, which made Alex wear an evil grin. 4 billion zen. He shouted in a deep voice, surprising his excitement. Participating in a bidding war like this gave him thrills and also reminded him that he wasn't wealthy yet and was, in fact, very poor. In the other VVIP booth, the archmage gritted his teeth with so much strength that his teeth almost shattered. His expression was twisted like that of a vengeful ghost. He was on the verge of exploding and seriously regretted messing with whoever was in the other VVIP booth. He was already close to calling out his entire wealth and would need to enter the university's treasury if the other party didn't stop soon. Friend, why don't you let me have this elemental fruit? I'll remember the favor. The archmage voiced out, his words directed towards Alex's booth. The others waited in silence. They quickly traced the dispute between these two to the bracelets and waited for Alex's response. After a few seconds, a response came from Alex's booth. All right. A relieved look appeared on the face of the archmage after hearing this. It seems that the other party wasn't an unreasonable person after all. 4.1 billion zen. 4.1 billion zen going in 1, 2. Before Sylvia could finish her words, Alex's voice rang out again. 4.5 billion zen. Everyone. Heavy silence descended on the place as the people looked at Alex's booth with strange eyes. Didn't he just agree to let the other booth have it? Why was he still bidding? The face of the archmage was as red as hot pepper and he almost spat out blood. He shot a glare at Alex's booth through the black glass, veins bulging out on his neck. Just who was this petty person that he had provoked?